Hello, welcome to round 9 of the SRL-100. We're at the Chinese Grand Prix this weekend, and hoping it's going to be a good race. The second DLC track. Let's just go over the standings first before we start the race proper. So obviously Struggs is in the lead. Looks unassailable, but I'll come back to that. He's on 166 points. 53 points behind is his Williams teammates of Fade. Realistically, the only title challenger left, and with 6 races left, plus a sprint race, there's roughly 130 odd points on the table, so anything could happen in that front. OS Degrees has built up a bit of a form. He's got 80 points in his third. AJ Sinden, second place last weekend, good result for him. He's in 4th place. Matusas in 5th. He's been struggling recently. I don't think he finished last weekend, so he'll be looking to come back with a strong result this weekend. Quick run over as constructors, 279 for the Williams boys. They've more or less wrapped that up. The interesting fight is the fight for second in the championship. Ferrari, 122 points. Fox and OS Degrees getting a good bit of consistency going, finishing in the points week in, week out. That's really good for them. Alpine just dropping below Ferrari. They were second place for a long time. They are now in 3rd. Aston Martin, great result for them last weekend with Giri and Tempe reserving for the Aston Martin drivers. Rugrif and Lou are back this weekend. And Red Bull in 5th position. It's Ganja in once again for Seoul, and AJ Sinden obviously in his seat. So what I was saying is, going back to what I was saying at the start, is 53 point looks big, but we've been told that Struggs won't be attending the final race of the season, so he'll need at least a 25 point cushion to guarantee his championship on track. So one DNF from Struggs, a win from Fade. Suddenly that's a 3 point gap to that kind of scenario where 25 points and maybe a sprint race could a sprint race or something like that, mixing it up, could clinch the championship for Fade. So it's not out of contention for him. Mr. Bob Agri is shithousing me, so I'll ignore that. Hope someone with a fish helmet wins today. I hope if they do win, they'll be getting a 20-second penalty for wearing the fish helmet. So there we are, you heard it here first. So we're 30 seconds away from the start of this lobby. We'll switch to the commentary scene. I'll just give a quick spiel if it's your first time watching the league. We race Sunday night at 8 PM BST every week on the 100, and on the 50 side we have a 50% league. Starting up soon, we do practice races for that at Friday 8 PM BST as well. So, we have a link to the Discord just below. If you want to get involved, we have casual lobbies most nights as well, where you can earn a clean driver tag, be vetted as a good quality driver, and obviously crap drivers are kicked out pretty quickly. And I don't mean bad pace, I mean bad driver etiquette. We all have to start somewhere pace-wise, but driver etiquette is a harder thing to teach what's wrong or right. So, race session will start in 30 seconds. Qualifying, rather, the session. So qualifying 1, we have a full grid of 20 drivers. Giri on tour in for Wool this weekend in the Haas, as well as Ganja in for Soul Collector in the second Red Bull seat. Only 2 reserves this weekend, and we have 2 cars also serving qualifying bans, so Captain Rainbow Fox and Chonk. They should be leaving the pits and coming straight back in and retiring from the session. No more than that, just to make sure the setups are locked in place. And it's going to be a good one. I haven't, again, this is a running theme. I don't get this out until the start of this session, but it looks pretty overcast. I don't know whether that's a cement factory kicking off dust. It's not, because it's not actually simulated in the game, but at least it's realistic. A cold track, and we'll have a quick look at the weather, see what my phone tells me. So this session and the next session looks overcast, so no chance of rain in the next 2 sessions. We'll obviously keep an eye out on that through the sessions. Is there any movement? Is there anyone out going out on track yet? Yeah, looks like a Red Bull's the first one to leave. AJ Sinden. There's also Haas in front, ready to leave too. So we'll watch AJ Sinden, but looks very, very smoky. Some cars kicking up some dust on this track. Let's disable webcam for this session so we can see the bottom 5. And we have this excellent track, opened in 2004. I can't remember who won the first one, but we've seen some great scenes. We've seen the first win for Red Bull in 2009, Vettel taking it in wet conditions. The new kid on the block at Red Bull at the time in 2009. You have Nico Rosberg's first win at 2012, and Kimi Räikkönen basically holding the backup for 30 laps before his tyres fell well and truly off a cliff. That was one of his first signs that he was return to racing was going to be a good one. And of course, like Hamilton's overtake around the outside of Vettel in 2011. That was a good Grand Prix too. So we've had some good Grand Prix here. Daniel Ricciardo's heroics on the brakes is another one that comes to mind. And it's 5.451 kilometres long. And we'll go on board for this lap and make sure that telemetry is enabled, lap data is enabled. And we'll go on board with AJ, who's sporting a Chinese tribute helmet this weekend. Turning in to start his lap, and he comes up to the first snail, cuts the timing beam to start the lap, comes up to this first snail, and it's a complex of 3 or 4 corners so this is turn 1 into this tightening part, turn 2, then the left-hander of turn 3 that unwinds into turn 4, this kink just here, and we come up to the end of the first sector. Very, very demanding first corner, whereas a 24.741, and he brakes at turn 6, the hairpin, into a next corner, which is long left-hander of turn 7. He'll just about keep it in 7th, and he'll go down to 5th, down to 4th, to 8 turning at turn 8, and then turn 9, double left-hander, turn 9 and 10. And then a bit squirrely as he got on traction, hit the curb on the inside, enter second sector, 53.348 as he comes to the second snail, turn 11, 12, and then 13, this final apex here. And it's all about maximising your running to the track. He has Fade just ahead of him, but I think he's on the lap. So we'll see the first few laps come in. He's got a Haas just behind, a Fade just in front as we come to this big braking zone of turn 14, and then it's very much non-corner turn 15 just here, and finally the left-hander turn 16. So difficult to keep it in the lines. We'll see a few penalties crop up here, I'm sure, but it's a 133.0 for Struggs, a 134.1 for AJ. So cut-off time I believe is going to be about a 134.5 or something like that for the session. And I think AJ's probably done enough there, but Struggs has certainly done enough. That's almost on pole pace. So I think we expect to see a 132 something, 132.3 or maybe 4 as the pole lap. We have more cars coming across the line. We have Louis Vest. It must be Rubif who's going across the line at the moment. Yeah, just starting a lap. Who else is coming across the line? We have OS Degrees. He's gone into 5th position with that lap of 134.4. We have Fade, he's put in a lap, but it's a slow lap, so he'll be going again. We have a couple of Alpines coming around the final corner. 135, 136 for Joker, 136.8 for Matusas, maybe practicing a little bit of the it's very tricky to get a toe around here. Very tricky, because that final snail, the second snail, you have to follow closely through there, and you end up losing quite a lot of traction. So if that's their plan, I don't think it's a winning one. We have Mr. Bob Bagley set a time 1:35.541. Alpha Integral still in the pit. Chonk and Fox out of the session following their disqualification orders, and they followed it correctly, so that's good to see. Rugriff out on track coming through the second snail. One of few not to set a lap time. Obviously Fade hasn't set a representative lap time either. He looks like he's spun it in the middle sector. He's certainly going slowly on this lap, so he won't be going faster, so I'll have to use up another pair of softs here. So the errors starting to stack up, but Fence has a 1:33.095, so close to struggle. Some good pace from Fence here again this weekend. Hopefully he can bring it together and bring it through to the race. Did a great drive in the SRL-50 at Portugal, but failed to hit his marks at the SRL-100 due to time penalties. 1:35.815 for Rugriff and a 1:35.007 for Louis Revest. And we have OS Degrees, he's coming into the pits. Obviously 2007, this is where Hamilton basically lost his championship as well, in the gravel trap. Pushing too hard on the pair of tyres he didn't need to. And Fade is returning to the pits as well, so he'll have to go again, certainly with a 2:01. Alpha Integral yet to go out, Ganja yet to go out, and Alex Trent G yet to go out. I think all trying to save as many pair of softs as possible. Does put the pressure on the line though. Was that Matusas going for another lap, or was it Joker? It was Joker going for another lap, because he's a car out on track. 41% charge. I don't know if he'll have... I'll certainly have time to go return to pits and put another lap in, but will he be pushing on this lap? Using a bit of ERS, so you have to imagine he is pushing. And he's slightly up on his time. Good enough for 13th at the moment, and 1:36.2. I predicted the cut-off to be somewhere around the 1:34s, 1:35s. And he's pushing again. Maybe thinking I'd rather just burn out one pair of tyres and save a fresh pair right for the end. Only the top 15 cars go through to Q2. So obviously Chonk and Captain Rainbow Fox are out, and Alpha Integral, Ganja and Alex yet to set a lap. But Ganja and Alex on an out lap at the moment, and you'll be surely thinking they're going to set a lap time. Fade is going to go faster, so it's those Alpine boys right in the drop zone. If those cars behind them can put laps together, and you expect them to do a lot better than 2:01 Fade. Obviously chasing the championship now, but should have a bit of confidence that there's still 25 points on the table. As he comes around the final corner, he isn't on a push lap, he is coming into the pits. So just going around another time trying to improve his time, but I think he's going to have to take a new pair of softs, because they do start to go off dramatically, the pair of softs around here. Very, very high deg, the first snail being particularly challenging on the tyres. Turn 7 and 8, the long left-hander into the slightly shorter right-hander. And we'll watch Ganja, he's on the back straight. We'll ride along with Ganja, he's going to get a lap in and get a lap in quick. Filling in for Soul Collector this weekend. And we'll ride off board and have a look at him going through the final corner, turn 16, and starting a lap underneath the famous Grand Stranded Bridge. And into the snail, the long right-hander really curls in, pinches in. It's very much a pinch point from the start. Fence is retired because he's felt he's done enough. I definitely think a 1:33 is enough at this stage. I wonder if any other cars will go out around him. I think AJS Inden may be the first car to go out, really. Although be some big improvements from the cars behind. Let's see where these cars can put their lap times into. Ganja goes faster of all through the first sector. Are the sectors actually telling me the truth this weekend? I don't think they were quite telling me the truth last weekend, but certainly he puts in his fastest sector because it's his first sector as he comes through turn 8 and turn 9 and 10, trying to hit that apex, maximise the corner speed, and maximise that exit. Run down to this heavy braking zone. Very easy to get this wrong. You need to get it in really early. I think he just missed the apex there. That compromises him through turn 12 and 13, getting the power down all the way onto this straight. And he'll hope for a bit better than that, but we'll see if this lap time is anywhere comparable to the lap times ahead of him. He's probably looking for a high 134 to feel more or less guaranteed to go through, but we'll see. As he comes to the final corner, pick your braking marks, turn it in, try not to run too wide, keeps it within the white lines, and that is a 135.3, so up to 11th place, enough for 11th place. Alex Trent G, he's coming around the final corner. Is he still on the lap? He is. Let's see where he can go. Alex saying a lot more confident about this weekend than he did last, and it looks like it's going to be a quick time. A 134.5 up to 6th position, just in front of his teammate Geordie. That could be enough to go through at this stage. Fade is out there on a lap. Going down the back straight, obviously on a 2:01, so needs to get a lap time in. Pressure starts to build if he doesn't get something in here. So watch his braking marks. It just needs to be good enough to get to Q2 at this stage. There's cars with slower pace than him generally, so it just needs to be good enough to get to Q2. And it looks like a fast time. Takes a lot of that curb on the inside. And going to be a 134.1. So a second off his teammate, second and a 10th, but that's fine for now. As you have a Red Bull leaving the pits, must be of AJ Sinden, who wants to go again, doesn't feel safe on the 134.1, so probably Fade shouldn't feel safe either if AJ's feeling a bit twitchy. But he certainly don't want to splurge another pair of tyres. Joker going off at the first corner. That is not how to take that corner fast. And trying desperately to stay up with Batusas. Batusas just ahead of him. He is on a lap. Coming to this braking zone of turn 6, just after the first sector ends, and it's a good overtaking opportunity on the opening laps. And if you can get the right kind of slingshot through turn 1, you can certainly get moves done through there. Hopefully we don't see any bad boy moments this weekend at turn 6. As he comes through, just 2 more corners left in the second sector. There's a yellow flag in sector 3. That's Alex Trent G going slowly, I think, just cruising in, maybe running a little bit low on fuel, I'm not too sure. But oh, bit squirrely on traction. Loose and Larry through the second snail, but importantly not through the long traction zone of turn 13. And it kind of cambers upward, banks upward to help you through that corner, so it's not, it doesn't feel quite as tight as it is. And heavy braking just before the 100 as the curbing starts. Into the right he goes. And I don't feel like this is the fastest lap here. And he certainly isn't. He's way off the pace with this lap, and he's coming straight back into the pits. Maybe trying to use the old pair of softs and just going nowhere with them. Joker will similarly have to pit as well. Maybe trying to use that pair of old softs again. Let's see if we can quickly grab a snapshot of the tyre life. So I think the tyre life completely lies to you, but let's have a look who is out on track at the moment. Rugriff, he's going through. He's just started an out lap, I believe, because he's got fuel charge. Kev, also on a lap. No, just about to start a lap. That's one way to heat your tyres up. Rugriff out there trying to put a better lap time in, actually under pressure on the bubble in 15th position. 16th and 17th, the cars on the bubble there for the Alpines. Alpha Integral is on a lap. Through the first sector he goes. So, he's in the danger zone. Oh, and a little bit too much traction. I think the cold track is really catching drivers out today. And the Red Bull doing a good job keeping out the way there. But Alpha Integral, this will maybe be his one chance to get through. And Rugriff, where is Rugriff? Oh look, it's just completely stuck. There we are. That's good. It just got completely stuck there, so I'm trying to switch to Rugriff and it got completely stuck. Apparently the fastest middle sector. He's 6 tenths up on his middle sector. And down the back straight, he can find some time. 6 tenths will put him up into 12th position. Can he find any more time through this back straight? Louis staying in the pits, maybe coming out at the last. Probably cars have time to leave, and go out again one more time, we're going to see quite a frantic few laps on the closing embers of this Q1 session. Ruger's probably last chance at a lap. He may be able to cool down his tyres and go again, but Zosh will be nowhere near up spec, and that's a 1:35.2, so he's in 13th position. Alpha Integral, where is his lap time going to put him up to? You'd expect the top 10, and it is, it's top 3. So Alpha Integral's probably safe with that one. Third car to get into the 33s today. The Alpines on an outlap. Mr. Borbagri is on an invalidated lap. Ganja, he's going through turn 1, just starting a lap. Rugriff has spun at this corner, I think desperately trying to get out of the way of other cars in a unique way, and I think he does a good job of getting out of the way there. Fair play to him, and picks a spot and doesn't get disqualified, so good for him. McLeod coming through the final corner. There's a 53-second sector, but it's yes, I think this must be an outlap because that was nowhere near a good enough time. So 1:35.66. So yeah, this must be an outlap. IBN going through the first corner with Captain Rainbow Fox possibly. No, it must be Alpha Integral or Dead Pool just behind. Oh, Dead Pool has put it up into 1:33.8 territory. So that's a quick time by Dead Pool. And Matusas starting a lap now. Joker is not on a lap. He must be on an outlap because he's got a full whack of charge. So this is going to be right at the last for him. Kevin, he's got a 1:35.5. Ganja, he's got a 1:35.3. He's out there on a lap. Let's have a look. Who's the next car to go actually past the line? It's Ganja. So he'll be the first one to maybe bump down cars above him. And won't have enough time for another lap, judging by his ERS usage. AGS has retired from the session, so he thinks he's done enough. Alex Trent G thinks he's done enough, so does Fade. As he comes through the final corner, Ganja gets a 1:35.146, so an improvement, but not much of an improvement. Only knocks Rugriff down one place. Rugriff will probably have to go again here, and I think he is lining up for another lap if he's got enough fuel. He may not have enough fuel. No, he's returning to the pit, so Rugriff very much could be out of the session here. Kev goes 6/10 higher, but 6/10 slower, sorry, so does not improve his placing, so he's probably out of the runnings. We have Matusas on the back straight. He's in 18th position, very much in danger of being knocked out here. Can he do enough? There's a yellow flag through sector 1. I think it's Mr. Borbagri going slowly. He won't have a time for another lap. So Matusas comes to the heavy braking zone of turn 14, past the kink of turn 15 and through the final corner. And he invalidates. He invalidates, so that's him out. That is him out. He will not be able to start another lap as well. And truth be told, it wasn't much faster. So Matusas is out of this one. Joker is only marginally up on his time. So have the Alpine boys got the wrong kind of setup on this week? Not fast at all. These two race winners this season are nowhere near the pace. And Joker coming through the final corner, a 1:35.5, so he gets up to 17th place. But I think that's it. Kev's out, Joker's out, Matusas is out. I believe Matusas doesn't have a chance at another lap here because he cut that final corner. So that is it. Rugriff gets by the skin of his teeth, 3/10 to get difference. And Mr. Borbagri in the Haas, Joker in 17th position and 18th position for Matusas, 19th for Chonk, and Fox starting at the back of the grid. Just not able to get the laps in at that session. And we have Struggs in, takes the first blow. He's putting a very quick time. Fence similarly quick, 8/10 ahead of the rest of the drivers though. So really feeling the confidence around China. Struggs has got the bit between his teeth. Hopefully no torpedo at turn 1 for him. So as we come to the closing stage of the session, I've just realised the extreme quality has absolutely took a hammering. So hopefully it rebounds back. I'll keep an eye on that. But we'll clip this session. and it's confirmation that Kev, Joker and Matusas are the cars out with Claude coming into the pits. And we have our session ending here, and I will just quickly clip this. Matusas had his car full of 50 laps worth of fuel. That is the incorrect amount of fuel. Didn't know why I was 1 second slower than everyone. Just realised the game decided to give me 57 laps of fuel. That is quite a lot of fuel. So that would explain your pace going missing. At least that is not what you want. So let me just take a quick snapshot of the standings here. Right, okay, so Q1 results. So, 15 cars through to this session. Let's enable the webcam. We have space for it on the screen now. And we have a Red Bull going straight out. Must be the Red Bull of AJS Inden. Yep. What other cars we have straight out? We have dead in the pool, Alfa Romeo. Let's go on board with him. He set a very quick lap time right at the end there. So commiserations to Batusta. So at least you know how fast your car is in race pace, right? That's, you got a bit of practice in. And I don't know how many softs did you burn through Batusta and Jokers? Was it just 2 sets of softs? Because I actually rate the softs around here, especially if there's a chance of safety car. Put on a pair of softs. They are quite quick. I rate them basically. That's what I'm saying. But we have Dead in the Pool, he's out on track. And let's get the telemetry back and the lap data back. The Alfa Romeo of Dead in the Pool. Going through the snail, you can see struggling to warm the tyres up, a bit shifty on traction through that part of the track. And if it's your first time viewing us, we have a Discord. You want to join our races, get in some casual lobbies, get a clean driver tag. We're rostering for the SRL-50 at the moment, looking for drivers. SRL-100 is full, but potential to reserve for the SRL-100 if you sign up to 50 places. And Dead Pool splits the time being to start a lap. We'll keep an eye on that. If you don't follow, if you're part of the Discord and you're not following us yet, really appreciate a follow. The quest for 50 follows, someone told me what that meant earlier this week. It means that I could get literal pennies off of all of you, which will never be put into my bank account because I'll never get more than the threshold requires. But yeah, anything would be good. A follow is much appreciated. That means you can hear when we go live. As he goes into turn 7 with a bit too much speed there, nowhere near the apex. And turn 8, down to 4th gear, down to 3rd gear for turn 9. And watching the traction zone, gradually peeling it on and full traction as he hits the right hand side there. Ends the second sector, 53.149. It's a good first sector. And he comes to the second snail. So hard on traction here, and you can see you just have to make a few adjustments. And then once you start snaking around, you often end up in the bin on the right hand corner. Not violently chucked away too much, but did chuck away his lap there. And may be able to go around for another one, but it's now Fade. No, it must be Struggs who is next in line to take a lap here. So Struggs coming into the final corner. Can he set the world alight with his purple helmet? Going through the final corner. He'd love to win the Chinese Grand Prix, and he gets a 1:33.6, so we know he can go faster than that. A good banker lap, but we know he can go faster than that. Must have made a mistake with his purple dingerling. Denderpool 1:44.9, but obviously we saw him make a mistake. And coming through the final corner is OS Degrees. Louis Vest has taken a detour somewhere, but coming through the final corner, still wearing his Monza tribute helmet. And it's a 1:34.5, so decent time for OS Degrees. Maybe enough to get him through already. Ganjo 1:34.8. Starting to see the lap times tumble down as we progress through the sessions and the track evolution occurs. We have IBN, he's into a 1:34.3. He's got some pace around here. We have a Red Bull on the inside, getting out of the way nicely, but I think IBN has set a lap here. We have the two cars, the McLarens of Geordie and Alex Trent G. I think Alex Trent G just helping out there and giving his teammate a bit of a tow down the back straight. Is this going to be enough to get him through? 1:35.2, so not a quick lap there. Alex Trent G goes on to his lap. Fence is out of the session. Fence, who had a lot of speed, is out of the session, so has had a crash somewhere. So I'm not quite sure what's happened to you, Fence, but you've crashed out. You had pace for pole here, and you'll be starting at best 12th, but probably 15th if other cars get lap times in. Let us know what's happened there, Fence. AJ Sinden, he's on an invalidated lap, so we won't ride along with him. Alpha Integral just leaving the pits. Giri on tour, going through the first sector now. We have what cars are going through this final corner. Is that Fade? Fade set of 1:35, so not a quick lap time from him. Is he pushing again? He may be pushing again, but it's clinging over to the right hand side, so it makes me think that he's not actually on a push lap at this moment in time. Picks his braking marks through turn 14, the hairpin main overtaking zone, I would say, with the secondary overtaking zone being into the snail. He's coming into the pits, so obviously not happy with his lap. Alex Trent G, he must be coming round now to set a lap time, working with his teammate previously to give a bit of tow, but he only got a 1:35.2, and I think they'll need a 1:34 to get through this qualifying session. Only half our cars to put a lap out so far. And the American in the McLaren coming through the final corner, keeping it nice and neat and tidy. What's this? This is a 1:34.1, so that's good enough for second in this session. So a fast lap time from Alex Trent G there. Obviously cars to improve. AJ Sinden, he's pushing for another lap. McLeod, he's just behind on an outlap though. Louis Vest still in the pits. Giri on tour, crossing the line. He goes up to 4th position of 1:34.4. Late standing for Wall today and showing some exceptional pace. We have Alpha Integral on a outlap, so we'll ride on board with I believe AJ Sinden is our best chance to see a new time go on aboard. Hopefully I don't bring in any bad luck. So through the final snail, so turn 11 into turn 12, into the world's longest corner. It feels like the longest corner. Turn 13, slowly getting the power down, maximising his exit speed, and I think he's running quite a high downforce setup because he was able to get on the power early, but will be struggling towards the end of the straights, and that may compromise him through the race pace. Brakes hard at the 100 metres. He'll be hoping for a good qualifying session so he doesn't have to do overtaking in the race. And turns left through the final corner of turn 16. Opens to DRS again, and it's a 1:34.193, so a good lap time from AJS Inden there on a used pair of softs. I think he did an extra lap because of a disqualification. We have Alpha Integral now on a lap. He's going through the middle sector, just about to finish the second sector. What is it? A 53.439. So we've seen 4.5 tenths quicker in this session so far. So not a perfect middle sector, but probably enough to get him top 10. You alright, Calvi? How you doing? Welcome back. Alpha Integral coming up to his lap. Well, usually Alpha Integral likes to keep it quite light on the laps. I think he only did one in Q1. Tries to save as many pairs of softs as possible throughout the sessions. Doesn't find the benefit of going out there looking like a 1:34.395, so up to 4th position. So a good lap time for him. Will it be enough to get him through to the top 10 shootout? Obviously Fence is already out. McLeod is on a lap. He's coming up to the seconds now, turn 11 and 12. And let's watch him get on the traction. The green bar at the bottom, just under the KPH. And you see it go full. A little bit later than AGS. Yeah, it's been some good racing this year. I'm hoping for a good race around here. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to stream the SRL-100 around here on Friday, but apparently that was a really, really good race. I tend to miss the good ones. Zandvoort being one for sure. So, McLeod comes around the final corner. Turn 16. Doesn't use all the track on the outside, but does clip it nicely on the inside. And Tempe saying, let go, baby. Good luck to everyone. Nice to see you, Tempe. Hope you're doing okay. Shame you can't be with us this weekend. Obviously reserved for the Aston Martins last weekend for Rugriff, and he was super quick. He was super quick. Fourth or fifth position, was it? Or was it fourth for Giri? Fifth for Tempe, I believe. That was the race result. So McLeod up with a 1:34.79 now. Only Louis Vest yet to set a lap time. Let's ride on board with my former teammate. Going into turn 8. And we had a good race around here last year. I think Louis was quite miffed for a long time about a penalty you received for weaving. Maybe a bit of a twitchy penalty. Actually, last year at the Chinese Grand Prix was maybe the first time we'd raced with the Rules Engagement League Code of Conduct in place. So maybe got done by over-eagerness from the stewards. We haven't seen many weaving under pit lane. Where is Soul Collector? Soul Collector's, we're unsure where Soul Collector is, to be honest, Calvi. He hasn't spoken to us for the last couple of weeks. So we've tried to contact him, but I think he was on holiday. But Louis Vest does a spin, so he'll need to return to the pits and get out the way of a fast incoming Red Bull. Must be the Red Bull of Ganja, as AGS Indian's in the pits, and you just get out of the way. Oh, right, okay. Happy birthday, Tempe. Was it yesterday? Was it yesterday? Your birthday? Yeah, happy birthday for it. Do you have a good trip? Ganja coming into the pits here because he has invalidated his lap time. And we have a little bit of a lull. A few cars going out. We have Geordie on a lap. We have must be Fade on a lap as well. Fade's on a lap, so we'll go on board with him. Friday was his birthday. Okay, yeah, because Alex, your birthday was the same day, right? So happy birthday to both Alex and Tempe. Hope you had good ones, full of cake and other things. It's actually my brother's birthday, the Friday. So good day to be alive, right? And Carl Pilkinson's birthday, 23rd September. As we come into the final corner. I mean, if you're American, you probably have no idea who Carl Pilkington is. Fade completely outbreaking himself, but I think he's coming into pits here anyway. On a secondary lap. Alpha Integral in the pits. OS Degrees. He is coming to the final corner, but I believe this is an outlap. It's at least a very long lap, so he hasn't improved here on this lap. Slept the entire day. It's one way to spend your birthday. Happy birthday to Mama Crap. It's my brother, not my brother. So I hope my brother is not my mother. So Brother Crab, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. OS Degrees on a lap here. He is in 9th position, so proper near the drop zone. He will need to make this count. Car's really in danger. I would say everyone from Alpha Integral down are in danger of going out here. I'm not sure Alpha will have time to get out, neither will IBM. Giri is on an outlap. But Louis Vesh yet to set a lap time. He's on an outlap. Rugriff on the lap at the moment. And we have someone pop it in higher. Who was that? Must be Geordie putting in a lap time there. So McLeod is now dropped down. He's in danger of going out here. He's not in danger. He is going out as things stand. OS Degrees on the bubble in 10th position. He needs to make this count a good middle sector. And Ganja is on an outlap. AGS Indian, he's gone out again, looking for more time. Geordie's out. Alpha Integral and Ben both in the pits. They won't be coming out again, so they could be really in danger here. Louis Vesh yet to set a lap time. I think Rugriff's a few tenths off, so wouldn't worry too much about Rugriff at this point, but Ganja certainly could put a lap time in. McLeod certainly could go fast. OS Degrees, we'll see here as he crosses the line. This will be his final chance to get a lap in. A 1:33.5. So goes into first position. So IBN now in 9th position. Very, very much in danger of the drop. We have cars coming across the line. It's Louis Rivest. He's about to start a lap. Rugriff is coming through the second snail. McLeod going slowly down to turn 14. Gideon Tour now on the bubble because someone else has gone quicker. Was it? I don't know who's gone quicker there. Just missed it. No, it was OS Degrees, right? Alpha Integral, Geordie. Geordie's gone quicker. Alex is in the pits. Missing out on things here, but Gideon Tour absolutely on the bubble now. McLeod in 11th position. It was OS Degrees going up to first place, of course, that I'm missing here. And McLeod really needs to put in a good lap time here. So does Gideon Tour. Any of these top 4, bottom 5, can definitely put a lap time in here. Rugriff goes 8 tenths higher. I think he'll have to go again. That'll be an old pair of tyres. Made a mistake probably on that lap. We have Ganja. He's in the middle sector. AGS Inden, he's going around. I won't follow him. Vogue Trent saying he's only used 1 set. So that's very, very good. Saving those softs for the race. Could be a good tyre. Gideon Tour coming around the final corner. He's 3 tenths up. So this could be enough to knock Ben into 10th position and put him in the bubble. It is enough. He's up into 5th. So Ben is on the bubble. So is Alpha Integral. Also out of this session. McLeod up 2 tenths. So that wouldn't be enough to beat Ben. But Ganja, he is coming up to the final corner. Rugriff, it's Louis Rivest going around the final corner. 53.935. I don't think that's going to set any world alight. Is this going to be enough to go into 10th position? It isn't. It isn't. Only 13th for Lou. Ganja coming around the final corner. He's up on his time. I don't think he's going to be able to beat it. IBM may just be free by the skin of his teeth. McLeod is up 2 tenths though. He is up 2 tenths. So can he pull out enough in that final sector? He looked to have gone very wide through turn 14. He's looking for a 1:34.3. It is. He's up into 8th position. Alpha Integral's been knocked down. Alpha Integral. Why has Alpha Integral been knocked down? I'm sure he was above Ben. Oh, they've got the same lap time, of course. Why? They've got the same time. Okay, right, okay. That's weird. I didn't expect that. But Rugriff, he's going through the final corner. He'll be the last one to set a lap here. And I don't think it's fast enough. 14th, only 14th. So it's Alpha Integral with exactly the same lap time as IBN. But I think IBN must have set his time first. And it's Alpha Integral who has took a tumble down the order. And it's Ganja in 12th. Louis Rivest in 13th and 14th for Rugriff. You cannot split it any finely than that. IBN gets through by no tenths of a second. It's just privy that he set his lap time first that got him through into the top 10 shootout. So we have our top 10 OS putting a sublime time at the end of 33.5. Obviously, we've seen faster from Strugs. We saw faster from Fence, but Fence is out due to a DNF. AGS Inden in 3rd position. He set a good lap time of 1:33.666. And good racing there. Good frantic action at the end. Quite hard to keep track of who was setting lap times against who. But we'll disable the webcam quickly and make a note of these just in case there's a ready up rule infraction. Obviously, if you're watching along and you're racing, do not ready up on the grid. Don't ready up on the grid because there'll be a time when a admin readies up for you. So I'll make a quick note of this. Rogue Trent in a good position because he's only used 1 set of tyres, 1 set of softs. Is that in all the sessions so far or just in Q2 you only used 1 set of softs? So at this point we already sneak a peek of what the race looks like. The race looks overcast. No. Does the race look overcast? Let's make sure this is loaded properly. No, the race looks... yeah, I think sunny and overcast. No rain predicted for the race, though. So that will be quite happy for the drivers. Haven't had any rain, I don't think, in the race since Australia. And we have the final session. 12 minutes on the block, and we'll know who's on pole at the end of this session. Struggs has showed good pace, but didn't quite come to fruition in that second session, obviously making a mistake on his lap. We have him straight out, out quickest in both sessions. Williams being at the end of the pit lane does help in that regard, that you can go out and get the session in, get the session off with a bang, and we'll go on board for this lap with Struggs. Obviously this is just the out lap, but in the Williams Racing, our championship leader won't be racing in Abu Dhabi, so has to make up good before then to confirm the championship. Off on his holidays for the final race of the year, and he's hoping that he can get a 26-point buffer. Realistically just needs a 26-point buffer, because even if someone drew with him, he's won so many races this year. I think 7 race wins this year, or something absurd. Maybe it's 6 race wins and a sprint race win. No, it's 5 race wins, I think, maybe, and a 7 pole positions, but he could be going for his 8th pole position of the season. Already up there as the leading pole position holder in the SRL-100. As we watch on board, let's see how committed he is through this lap, how much he wants it. Pole position here would be a very, very good thing for him. A big affinity for China, and races. I'm not sure if he actually has an affinity for China or not, but he races to the line through the first corner using all of the curb on the left, showing how committed he is. Opens up this corner as much as possible, kinks inwards to turn 2, and turn 3 the left hand of this kind of snail chicane, and turn 4 run to the second end of the first sector, turn 5, and brakes at turn 6. It's a 24.241 through the first sector at the hairpin, going through this long left-hander of turn 7, using up all the track on the right hand side and bring it right to the apex at the last. Beautiful stuff. Down to 4th gear, running that curb as close as you dare to, and touching the inside of both these apexes. Beautiful stuff. 3rd gear up to 4th and 5th and 6th. Pick your braking marks. It's a 52.134. An absolutely scorchio time through that second sector. As we come through the snail, just needs to be careful to get the power on at the right time. Any twitchy movement will cost him a spin, and cost him his lap certainly, but it looks to be a very, very good lap time here. Could be setting the benchmark. Just 2 more braking zones to go, and this first one is this heavy braking zone. Brakes just at the curbing on the left around the 100 meter markers. Use a little bit of that curb for rotation. Out to the right, uses every bit of that curb on the right and all the way in. Just keeps it in the white lines, bit squirmy at the corner exit. This is a 32.4. Sublime. I should have said that my predicted pole time was a 32.4, but now it just looks like I'm making it up. But that's what's in my commentary. I'd show you if my camera wasn't all rubbish, but my commentary notes have a 132.4, and we'll see if we can go faster. We have other cars coming across the line. Fade, only a 140, so obviously he's made a mistake. OS Degrees, he's coming around the final corner. Where can he put his car up to? Can he put his car any higher? So into 3rd position. Good enough for 3rd. McLeod, the only Mercedes left in this final qualifying session, because Chonk is at the back of the grid. And he goes into 5th, 135.1. I think we can see faster from McLeod. Expect faster from McLeod. Geordie also coming across the line. He's used up all his deploy somehow, and he's up into 4th position. Geary on tour in the pit. IBN is the last car to set a lap time here, and it's not looks like a quick one. I think he's going to return to the pits here. He certainly is. So, first blood is to Struggs, and it's an absolutely disastrously quick time. That is astonishing. To set that marker kind of down early on is fantastic. I think AGS Inden, Geary on tour, yet to come out of the pits. IBN obviously aborting his lap for whatever reason, didn't look like a quick one, must have had a spin. And we have Fade going very slowly out on track, maybe just yeah, I don't know why he's going so slowly. Looks like he's been off track too. Certainly dirty tyres at the back, and trying to get out of the way possibly of other cars going quickly. Alex Trent G coming down. They'll all be going back to the pits, I reckon, though. So it's first blood to Struggs. Second is Dead in the Pool. Third is OS Degrees at the moment. 3 cars yet to set lap times. I think 5 cars that have set a competitive lap time, and 5 cars that certainly haven't. McLeod, I know he can go quicker than that. Fade certainly can go quicker than that, and 3 cars yet to set a lap time. But AJ Sinden, he's now gone on an outlap, so he's doing a kind of opposite strategy to the cars around him, and he'll hope to put in a good lap time here. Qualified 5th last weekend, and has good race pace. If he can have the rubber to green go his way, quite a few races DNF'd, no fault of his own. Quite a few races DNF through silly little mistakes, but he has 3 second places this year, possibly 4 now. I always get it wrong, but he's been a serial runner-up in the second part of the championship when he's got it together. Fade obviously last weekend not having a good weekend, scoring no points after colliding with Chonk early doors and failing to get back through the pack. As he comes through the second snail, we'll go off board, and it stays on board, but we'll go to the off-board cameras and the broadcast cameras. And if you're following along for the first time, welcome aboard. I'm your host Crab, and this is the SRL-100. Drop us a follow. We race every weekend at 8 PM. Full commentary of the SRL-100. SRL-50 is coming soon as well. Looking for commentators for that, but I will be racing in that one under the Aston Martin banner. And we have AJ Sinden going across the line to start his lap time. We'll keep an eye on that. But if you want to be part of the Discord, if you want to be part of Clean Racing, there's a link in our socials just below the stream. Get involved. Get involved with our casual lobbies. Been having them nearly every night. And yeah, it's good to see so many new faces in the Discord. All of our sessions are full in the 100. We're looking for rosters in the SRL-50. Looking for new drivers in the SRL-50 to get that one up and running. I think we've got 12 or 13 drivers off the top of my head ready to race. But drop us a follow if you haven't already, as AJ Sinden uses every bit of curve through the middle sector. We'll ride on board with him again. And he goes 52.8 through the middle sector, so not too shabby through there at all. And we'll see how early you can get on the power. So early you can get on the power through there. And this long straight, and the DRS never feels like it's going to come early enough. As he opens the DRS, the flap in the back of the wing will give him an extra boost down the straight as it reduces the drag. Brakes for turn 14, and AJ Sinden, this will be his lap. He won't have time for another one, so this is going to be his lap. Saves a pair of tyres in this session, but let's see where he goes up to. It looks like it's going to be a 133.468, so up into second. IBN must also be on a lap. He is on a lap. He'll be one next to come through, I believe. No, Fade looks like no, so Fade's on a slow lap here, so that must be an outlap. Being lied to by the game again. Then the pull. Oh, is this a lap? He goes 133.799, so up into third position. As we have IBN on the back straight in the AlphaTauri. His teammate out in Q2 after DNFing. What can the AlphaTauri do? He only just got through by the skin of his teeth. Struggs may not go out. I wonder if Struggs is going to do a Sebastian Vettel, stay in the pits, or he's going to go out looking for that extra few tenths. But let's focus on IBN coming to the line. This will be his final chance to set a lap. 133.914. A good lap time by IBN. That's up into fourth position, but I'm sure the times will start to come tumbling down. OS Degrees over the line. He is starting a lap. Geordie also starting a lap, I believe. Alex Trent G still in the pits, yet to come out. Struggs is coming out for another lap, so we will see an attempt to improve the time. An outlap for Girion Tour, and we watch McLeod come into the braking zone of turn 14 and eye up the left-hander of turn 16. So tricky to carry the speed through this corner. It doesn't look like a good lap time. Must be an outlap. Must be an outlap, because that is not a good lap time. And Fade is coming and he's 5 seconds quicker. You'd expect him to be 5 seconds quicker. You'd expect him to be a bit quicker than that, in fact. But Fade hoping to make a dent in Struggs' championship lead this weekend, and I'm not sure he will do with this lap, but it's a 1:33.105, so it could be a Williams block out. Let's see those other cars coming around. Giri on tour, a late stand-in for Wool. OS Degrees, he's coming through the final sector. IBN, he's not on a lap because he's already set his lap. So it is OS Degrees, the next car to set a lap time as he comes to the end of this straight. Brakes at 100. Doesn't use too much of that inside curb. I think that's where you start to pick up temps. Just using the curb, every little bit of curb you can. Maximising the lap time. He's absolutely blitted the field here, Struggs. 7 temps up on his teammate, and that was a very good time from Fade. OS Degrees at 1:33.6, so he's up into 4th position. He is up into 4th position. You have a car going slow on the back straight. I think that's Alex Trent G getting out of the way for the cars around him. Giri on tour, coming around the final corner, keeps it in the track limits, and it's a 1:33.778, so he's up into 5th position. Denton Paul's been pushed down further, but he's coming in around the final sector, so we'll see if he can improve his time. McLeod, can he improve his time? It looks very, very dodgy off of this turn, and Alex Trent G, I think, trying to use every little bit of advantage here and starting his lap in the slipstream of McLeod. McLeod does improve his time, but it's still only good enough for 10th. As we have Struggs going into pits, is he? No, Struggs isn't going into pits. It's Fade going into pits. And Denton Paul, he is on a lap. He's coming through the final corner, but I think he's slow, so he's not going to be improving his time. So the only people left to beat his time are Alex Trent G. He can go fast, and Struggs is on a lap again, but he's plus 9 temps up on his time, so he won't be going any quicker this session. And Captain Rainbow Fox will need an invite back into the game, so let's quickly give him one of those. Captain Rainbow Fox, invite to a game. So he's not going any quicker, Struggs. He'll be coming to the pits here surely. He is going into the pits, so Captain Rainbow Fox has joined. And Alex Trent G, fast through the middle sector, very fast through the middle sector. Could be a 1:33 here. He could be knocking into the top 3, in fact, with a lap time like this. Let's see if he can keep it together for the final moments of this qualifying session. The only car that can improve is Alex Trent G. I think top spot is off, but you know, chance of a top 3 if he can really, really nail these final 2 corners. Who knows? Even up into 2nd position is a remote possibility. Let's see. As he goes through the final corner, where does he get up to? He'll be the final car to set a lap time. That's valid. It's a 1:33.319, so just knocks AJ down into 4th position. He'll be starting 2nd row of the grid, directly behind Struggs, our pole sitter. Fade in 2nd position, his Williams teammate. He'll be happy with front row, but he'll need to take the challenge to Fade to Struggs immediately at turn 1 to keep his championship chances alive. And there's still 6 races to go, but the time is ticking on that one. But yeah, big congratulations to Struggs. I think that's his 8th pole position or something like that in the league. And we've only had 9 races. So yeah, big congratulations for that pole position there, Struggs. Absolutely dominating in the one lap performance, and obviously dominating in the championship. We have Struggs from Fade, from Alex Trent G, just getting a lap time right at the end in there, up to 3rd position. Good result from McLaren. AJ Sinden starting 1 better than last weekend in 4th position. And let's take a quick look at the standings. So Struggs in 1st, Fade in 2nd, Alex Trent G in 3rd, AJ Sinden in 4th, OS Degrees in 5th, Giri on tour in 6th, 7th, Denton Paul, 8th, IBN, 9th, Geordie, and 10th, McLeod. Let's have a quick look at the instance, see if there was many instants, and we'll get that clipped. And remember, Ready Up Rule is in progress. I'll get this clipped and then make sure that we have the time, so we know when the race is going to start. But we have all 3 sessions clipped now, and let's have a look in the Discord. and we look in league discussion. It's a 21:02 start time. So 5 minutes time, 21:02. That's when we'll be starting. Great lap at the end for Alex Trent G. And I'm going to take a very quick break and leave you with the look at the pit lane. So, always a big relief when I come back into the room and the countdown hasn't magically started. We're looking at a dry session today. 56 laps around here. Let's dive back into the standing screen. Have a look at what needs to be done. So Fade is 53 points behind Struggs. He's going to need to attack Struggs into the first corner and take the race to him. Put Struggs under some pressure during this race. OS Degrees, he got through to the top 10. Can't quite remember off the top of my head where he started, but he's 80 points, best of the rest in third position. And AJ Sinden he's 60 points. He could be much higher. He could easily be third in this grid, with a few more less DNFs, let's say. Matusas, very poor qualifying from him, down in 16th or 17th position. But as he said, he had 57 laps of fuel in his car, so not quite sure what's gone on there. Maybe he had saved a setup from a race with 56 laps of fuel in his car, and yeah, that damaged his chances. So yeah, I'm interested to see who will win this Grand Prix. I think obviously Struggs has the pace to win it, and if all things go his way, he will win it. But there are strategies that can be done on soft tyres, on hard tyres. To it's not just hard to medium this weekend. Actually, the softs feel good for 13 laps, or okay, doable for 16 laps. And with a bit of safety car luck, I'm sure the soft tyre runners can come into play here. Fade winning races last year at Baku with a late stint on softs. So let's see what can be done there. We have roughly 2 minutes until the start of the race. Let's have a quick look at what's being said in the Discord. So Alex Trenchy saying he's lost time in his lap. Well, obviously not too much time because he qualified third, but it was a very nice lap at the end. And the reason Fox left is because he lost his hood, so he had to restart his game. So just restarting at the right time to start the race, and we'll go back to the commentary stream. And we'll lose the webcam for the opening few laps at least until there's enough DNFs that I can put my webcam in the left-hand corner screen and not degrade the viewing experience for you all. We have 1 minute until lights out. 56 laps around here. Let's just do plugging for a little bit longer. If it's your first time watching along, then please drop us a follow. And we are racing every weekend, 8 PM, the SRL-100. The racing is always good, always frantic, absolutely crazy for the first 20 laps last weekend at Portugal, but a very enjoyable one nonetheless. Almost lost my breath and my voice from commentating that event. It was absolutely wild. And we have just under 30 seconds or so to go until lights out. We see the 30-second countdown on screen. Drop us a follow. If you want to get racing, get in the Discord. We'd love to have you. And yeah. So let's just message in the Discord one more time to say that we are racing. Race is about to start. So, we have the formation lap. That gives us time to go through and look at the tyre details of all the cars running. So, Strugs and Fade on hard tyres, but Alex Trent G on the pair of softs. That will be a good attacking tyre in those opening laps. AJ Sinden, he's in 4th position. The Red Bull driver, number 21, and he is going on a pair of hards. Number 98, OS Degrees, in the Scarlet Ferrari with yellow flashes at the back. Pair of medium tyres to start the race. Girion Tor on hards. Dead in the pool, he's on a pair of hards too. IBN, he is also on a pair of hards. Geordie in the McLaren, he's on a pair of mediums. McLeod in the Mercedes, the higher qualifier of the two, obviously because Chonk and Captain Raven Fox got to qualifications. He's on a soft tyre. Alpha Integral looking to go long on a pair of hards. So is Ganja, the sub for Soul Collector this weekend. He is on a pair of hards too. Louis Vest and Rugriff are in 13th and 14th position, both on a pair of soft tyres, looking to attack the opening laps. Fence, usually very punchy, but he'll be on a pair of hards. Mr. Paul Baggery, he's on a pair of mediums. Joker on a pair of softs. Matusas on a pair of hards, hoping for better form in the race. Obviously, very used to how 57 laps of fuel feels on board. Chonk is on a pair of softs at the back. He missed qualifying due to too many accumulated points on his license, and that's the same reason Captain Rainbow Fox also missed qualifying. So starting 19th and 20th on the back of the grid. We know they've had some right ding-dongs in the past as they come through the final snail, and the cars line the natural field spread on this lap means that the whole straight is full of cars. Strugs from Fade. I'm very much excited for this one. Always tricky through the first corner. Give us a shout in chat who you think is going to win the race. Strugs goes over his marks. That gives a little bit of advantage to Fade, maybe just a few meters. And psychologically, Strugs just missing his marks there. Alpha Integral also missing his marks further down the field. As the final cars come around the back of the grid, Captain Rainbow Fox and Chonk put themselves into position. And we'll have a 56 laps of dry running at the Chinese Grand Prix. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5. And the Syndicate goes racing in China. And it looks to be a good start from Fade. He's up the inside, going into turn 1. And Alex Trent G looking to go around the outside of Strugs. It's going to be 3 wide into the first corner. And Fade takes position. Fade takes position. Alex Trent G on the grass, running wide. He's going to have to run really, really far wide, lose many places. Earth Degrees up into 4th position. Only just behind AJ Sinton. He's gone up to 3rd position too. A good start from him. And Strugs behind his championship rival of Fade. Fade having a great start off the line. The psychological missing your marks, just catching Strugs off board there, and Fade gets the job done into turn 1. AJ Sinden just starting to fall back from the Williams pairing on this opening lap, and Strugs is looking everywhere to away past his teammate. Wants to get this job done early, wants to assert supremacy back on this race, but this will be good for Fade. This is exactly what Fade wanted, to take the lead of the Grand Prix, to make this a race that he is managing, meaning that he has right first pick over the pit stops. And Fade up into 1st position. Let's have a look at positions changed. And let's see who's done well. Chonk up 10 positions on the opening lap. Absolutely insane, up 11 positions ahead of his teammate McLeod out of that final corner. But Strugs is closing and closing and closing and closing on his teammate. Let's get the temperature up, and he gets the job done into turn 1. So decides to splurge a bit of his EOS there to overtake his teammate. But he's ahead. He's crucially ahead now. And now Strugs will try to pull out a gap from his teammate. He got the job done into turn 1 Fade, but could not keep it in front. And it's the fastest lap for Strugs as they go over the line. Strugs from Fade, from AJ Sinden, from OS Degrees. Alex Trent G falling really far back from 3rd position. running wide. 3 wide they tried to go through for the first corner, and that was very difficult for them to do so, and he just got pushed onto the grass, I think. OS Degrees in 4th position, Giri on tour in 5th, IBN in 6th position. We have Denlapool in 7th. He's just been took by Chonk, who's now up 12 places. 12 places in the opening 2 laps from Chonk. Sublime from him. Those pair of softs working brilliantly. He'll be taking the race to the front again. Denlapool in 8th position. McLeod in 9th. There's a yellow. There is a yellow. I think it's Mr. Bulbagri having a moment at turn 6, end of sector 1. Geordie in 10th position. He's down 1 position. Louis Revest is up 2 positions and almost tagging up into the back of Geordie there in the McLaren and running wide to boot. He'll get a warning for that for sure. Alpha Integral in 12th position. He's down 1 position. Alex Trent G, we told him, yeah, he fell down. He fell down on the order 10 positions by running wide into turn 1. So difficult to rejoin with all the cars on track there. Fence in 14th. He's up 1 position. And Captain Rainbow Fox up 5. He's just started behind Chunk, but Chunk is up 12 positions. Fade has already fallen out of DRS, out of Struggs. Struggs using up a lot of ERS on that lap to break that DRS toe. But let's hope he hasn't overworked his tyres. Those tyres can be particularly peaky. But 1:37.967 for Struggs on the opening lap. OS Degrees getting past AJ into turn 1. They're still too wide. And OS Degrees leaving room up the inside for AJ Sinden. He'll try to hang around all the way inside there on the medium tyres. He'll have the inside for turn 3. And he looks to have got the job done. And he'll want to move quickly up the field and catch up with Fade and Struggs on these better tyre compound at this stage of the race. He'll want to move forward. AJ Sinden on the hards won't mind too much if OS Degrees can just slowly bring him back into the race at the front of the grid. Just deciding to work together. Gibby on tour. Late standing for Wool. He's in 5th position. Up 1 position from the start. And holding off Ben and Chonk just behind. Let's follow on board with Chonk. Always punchy. Trying everything to get by Ben. Obviously having a big tyre advantage on these softs. 2 hard runners just in front. But you want to get the job done quickly, because after 4 or 5 laps, the softs just begin to eke away. And by lap 10, you will be starting to fall backwards compared to the hard and medium runners. But a very, very good job to get so many places in those early laps. And he'll be looking for a safety car or something to save him from losing all of those positions and crucially the time that would be lost through the pit lane. I think about 23 seconds on the other cars today. So into the DRS zone. It's DRS train now, and Chonk doesn't look to have the pace. Chonk doesn't look to have the pace here, but the 2 cars fighting in front, IBN and Wool. IBN going for a move on Wool. Not on Wool, sorry, and Giri on tour. And just holding him at bay there, but will try to get the move done into turn 1 as we ride on board, and he's got the move done. IBN tucking in nice and neatly behind, and OS Degrees is fighting with AJ Sinden, but also closing down the gap to OS Degrees. So this is a perfect example of how teamwork can bring you back into this. AJ Sinden not attacking OS Degrees, maybe if he has the pace to do so, not attacking OS Degrees on these opening laps, because he wants to use OS Degrees as a kind of guide back up to those Williams boys. Use those medium tyres on OS Degrees' car as a way back in, and just stay in the DRS range, stay in the coat rails. And Chonk, he's up to 5th position. He's at 14 positions in the opening laps, and he's now the next car in line to catch up with the car in front. We'll monitor that distance. It's 2.6 at the moment, and OS Degrees just flirting with the DRS range of Fade in front. He'll use every little bit of ERS to get into the DRS range here, and I think he's done enough. 8 tenths will be the gap, and he'll try and catch Fade on this lap. Looks like he's just stayed in DRS range here, and he'll get DRS. AJ Sinden will get DRS too, and close down on this back straight and take the fight to Fade. And then OS Degrees will try to get by Struggs as well if he can, but he closes down. What's the differential here? I don't think he's close enough, but you can see it's about 3-4 tenths that he's made up on that straight by just having that DRS. It's an important straight to have DRS on, and there's a spinner. Looks like Alex Trent G has spun at the back. His start gets even more miserable, and OS Degrees raced well here last year and is catching up with Fade, putting Fade under some pressure. That gap from Struggs for Fade starts to grow, and you don't want it to grow too much if you're OS Degrees, but you also want to get the job done. AJ Sinden doing enough to stay on the coattails, and Chonk actually falling away from AJ there, but obviously not having the DRS, the benefit of DRS down that straight, and probably having to defend from Giri on tour and IBN to boot. Louis Rivest, he's up into 8th position on no softs. So, doing well. Fence is up 6 positions on the hards. They will go very, very long. Louis Rivest up 5 positions in the Aston Martin. Didn't race last weekend. Not sure if he raced the weekend before. Where was it? It was Monza? I feel like he wasn't there. Yeah, I don't think he was at Monza. So 2 weeks off, and he's back this weekend, making up places on the opening laps. But obviously nothing compares to Chonk's 14 places in 4 laps. But OS Degrees now closer to Fade. Closer to Fade as he goes through turn 11 and turn 12. And it'll all be about how much traction he can deliver to the back wheels through this turn 13 corner. And he closes down. I think he's in overtaking range. Certainly here. He is in overtaking range. So Chonk, AJS Hinden spun. AJS Hinden has spun out of turn 1. Does OS Degrees think about a move? He certainly puts his 2 wheels up the inside there. Left space by Fade. Good racing from these two. But they don't want to fight too hard because that will cost them time. Fade takes a position, but there'll be another burst of DRS here. And can OS Degrees get the move done into turn 1? Along the outside, he'll have to go around the outside if he doesn't get the move done into turn 1, and I don't think he will. So he tries to go and hang it around the outside. That becomes the inside of turn 2. But I don't think he has the grip, and these two cars fighting that hard is going to cost them time to struggle. So I'm not sure if Fade is better just letting OS Degrees through and trying to use OS Degrees as much AJ tried to use OS Degrees to catch up with the car in front. Fighting maybe too hard in these early stages. Looks like he's fighting for the race win for Struggs rather than fighting for the race win for himself. But OS Degrees will have another chance on this lap to overtake. AJS Hinden's fallen all the way down to 16th position till he'll have it all to do. Qualified well, but have it all to do to come back. I did spin out early at Portugal last weekend and did come back to 2nd position. But frustrating out of that tricky traction zone of turn 13. OS Degrees closing down and looking for the gap, looking for the overtake here, but maybe the wrong place to overtake again because he'll surrender DRS down the crucial back straight, and Fade will probably have enough VRS in reserve. He may just snatch that place straight back. The gap grows to 5 tenths. I think OS Degrees may have done enough to build that gap here, and now OS Degrees is let loose on the cars in front. If Fade has anything about him, he'd just keep behind OS Degrees here, but he doesn't. He goes straight back ahead, and fair enough to him, but he's battling a car that could bridge the gap to his championship rival. And you know, if one of these cars, it's a battle he doesn't need to get involved with at this stage. Obviously, OS Degrees doing everything to get by and just doesn't have the straight line speed. Fade doing everything to keep OS Degrees behind. And into turn 1, and Fade way overshoots it, so gives the place up. And we'll have to follow OS Degrees through here. Frantic stuff, but I'm not sure why Fade is fighting that so hard, because the gap has now grown to 3.7 seconds. Just that little bit of fighting there grew the gap by a second. And if he comes back at him again, then OS Degrees will find it so hard to close up that gap to Struggs. And Fade can just use Struggs, use OS Degrees to bridge that gap to Struggs, much like AJ was using OS Degrees to bridge the gap to Fade. But we'll see if Fade settles down behind. Chonk is also closing in just behind, but his rubber will start to wear thin soon on lap 7. Fence has left the session. Dodgy internet, he'll be falling backwards because of that. Let's watch the battle there, and we'll watch the gap at the front, see if that closes down over time. But now Alpha Integral is right up behind Fence and will attempt to get the job done sooner rather than later. And Alpha Integral in 8th position, up 3 positions from his starting position. Let's switch to tyre, as that's what's become a little bit irrelevant this far into the race, positions gained. So we have Alpha Integral on a pair of hards, Fence on a pair of hards just in front, 1.1 seconds out of the DRS range of the car in front, so that will allow Alpha Integral the DRS into turn 14. Are they close enough? Only 4 tenths of gap. He'll be able to have a look into the side, surely, but no, Fence has the straight line speed. Louis Rivest making a move on Giri on tour into turn 14. Moving up into 5th position, really, really good start for him. Matusas making places on AJS Hinden, and looks like there's battling all over the back of this grid, as IBN, I think, running very wide there, trying to stay up in the coattails of these two cars fighting above. Alpha Integral looks to go to the inside. And does he get the move done? He does get the move done. IBN just behind will try to close up on the cars in front and benefit from that battling. Obviously, Fence is in AI mode at the moment, I believe. OS Degrees at the front has actually fallen back from Struggs, and that must be something to do with Fade being so close behind, battling to close that gap down. I think they've battled a bit too hard, maybe used up a bit too much ERS out of those tyres. But Fence now in 8th position. IBN the car next to overtake. And there's a spinner, and it's Fade. Fade has spun. Fade has spun at turn 4. He's now behind Chonk. And there's a safety car out. There is a safety car out. So that does save the blushes of Fade a little bit here. But all 20 cars seem to still be in the race. However, Fade did spin there. So I wonder if that safety car is in relation to that. Louis Vest on a pair of softs. We'll probably see the soft runners pit for another pair of softs, you'd have to imagine. Wonder if Fade decides, maybe I should just go and do something different because it's not working for me on these pair of hard tyres. The problem is if you've gone all the way to Q3, you probably don't have a pair of softs saved for the race. Maybe just a one pair of softs, so you'll want to save them right for the end just in case there's a late safety car. So I expect Fade to go long. Probably clears up the third position here. Chonk to go into the pits. Chonk doesn't go into pits, and Fade does go into the pits. So I wonder if he's got a bit of damage. Let's have a look at the car as it goes into the pits and work out if Fade has any damage here, or whether he's just going to roll the dice a little bit. Maybe go on a pair of mediums at this stage and close through the pack, do something different. He has broken his front wing. So what tyres did he choose to go on? He goes for the pair of softs. He does go for the pair of softs. So broken front wing there. That's what's probably caused this safety car. And he's down to 14th position. This championship rival of Struggs just ahead. But OS Degrees is now crucially being brought back into play. And Chonk, I'm not sure why he hasn't pitted, to be honest. Louis Vest going on to another pair of softs. I think that's a good call. He's up into 13th position. And we'll have a big tyre offset to the cars in front. Let's see what kind of progress he can make. Obviously, safety cars do breed safety cars. So you see one safety car and they can cause another collision, another safety car can come out. So maybe we'll see Chomp come in a later safety car. But I'm surprised those softs start to go off around lap 10, lap 11, 12, 13. And right in the window here to pit for another pair of softs, as Louis Vest has done. I think Captain Rainbow Fox, he's ditched his softs pretty early, actually. Gone on to a pair of hards. Alex, Trent, G, Joker, Rugriff, they've all gone on to fresh pairs of softs. And Fade, of course, we were on board for his pit stop. McLeod, he's onto a pair of mediums. I think he started on softs. So, we'll have the cars bunch up. I think next time around is probably a bit optimistic. Probably a bit optimistic to get the race running on lap 10, but probably lap 11 I'd like to see the race bunch up. And, well, obviously lap 12 would be the start. Actually, no, it could start on lap 11 here. Kev has just got to close down the main straight, the back car here of Mr. Bulbagui. It depends how slowly they'll go. It may be a late one if he does close down. I'm presuming that Kev doesn't want to change his tyres. So, early safety car. I think Struggs had built that gap to about 4 seconds. And anything can happen now. The safety car has shook the order up just a little bit. OS Degrees in second place. Let's have a look at positions gained under the safety car period. Positions change. So, 3 positions up for OS Degrees. Chonk up 16 positions, but on a very old pair of softs. Girion Tor, he's up 2 positions on those pair of hards. Alpha Integral, he's up 6 positions. All these cars that have gained a lot with a pair of hard tyres on have done exceptionally well. And IBN, he's also in 7th position. Geordie in 8th. Now we have the first car that's gone backward. Dendenpool's gone backwards 2 places. Ganji, he's gone up 2 places. AJ Sinden fighting with the front runners at the start of this race, but just spinning through turn 13. The long right hander onto the back straight. And he's got a lot to do, but on the hard tyres, and he'll be under attack almost immediately, not from Matusas but from Louis Vest on those softs. Fresh pair of softs. I think Fade is also on a fresh pair of softs behind. So is McLeod. No, McLeod's on a pair of mediums. Fox on a pair of hards, looking to go long now. Alex Trent G, he's on a pair of softs. Safety cars in this lap. Joker's on a pair of softs. Rugras on a pair of softs, and Mr. Bullbagger is just caught up to the back of the grid. So let's do the normal thing of ride on board with Struggs and watch for one clear return to racing. So about tries to warm up the engine. This is what the revving of the gears is doing. Warming up his engine for the race restart, and he'll be under attack from OS Degrees almost immediately. So let's see where Struggs decides to go. Let's see if the restart is a good one. Remember, one clear return to racing. No accelerating before a corner and braking after it. No accelerating and decelerating. One clear return to racing. And he goes around the final corner and he bombs it. He absolutely bombs it. But OS Degrees just behind. He's only just behind and he's quite close in. And he may look for a position into turn one here, but I think he's too far back. Chunk also looking racy on those pair of softs just behind. AJS Inton's up a position into the 10th position in front of his teammate Ganja. And Chunk, oh, just losing out a little bit there. Almost gearing on top, sniping through turn 3. And he'll be under pressure into turn 4 and turn 5. But Hasbury built the gap. But OS Degrees is right on the back of Struggs. And Struggs will have to do everything to close this gap. Already he's used 10% more EOS than OS Degrees. OS Degrees has to be using more EOS to close this gap down. But 4 tenths it's grown through turn 7 and through turn 8. Up to 5 tenths. Struggs doing enough here to build that gap. But very, very hard to overtake here. So I think OS Degrees will just be biding his time for the slipstream on the straight and uses a bit more EOS. Struggs has used a lot more EOS. So into turn 10. And 11 and 12, this snail, this really good wide shot here shows you quite how tight this corner is. But the banking doesn't make it feel quite as tight as it is, but still so slippery to get traction in. And 4 tenths is the gap. How much EOS are the two drivers going to use? OS Degrees closing and closing and closing. He'll certainly look to make a move into turn 1. Struggs goes defensive and retakes the racing line to open up the corner himself for him. And OS Degrees is doing everything, absolutely everything, to try and get past and get this job done. Take the lead of this race. One of the first times he's lead a race since Monza 2 or 3 races ago. And hasn't quite closed down that gap, but the EOS is roughly the same and the gap hasn't grown that much this lap. So Struggs really, really has to break that DRS. The DRS is worth so much around here. Otherwise he's going to get pulled into a battle from OS Degrees. And Chonk is just behind, waiting and lurking. AJS into up a few positions. Fade looks like he's fallen down the order, or certainly hasn't regained the order. Louis Rivest moving forwards, Gan just moving backwards, and Chonk just falling back from these leading duo. OS Degrees a bit patchy on traction there. That will give the Struggs a gap. And he's so strong through this corner. Turn 7, the left-hander, down to 4th gear for this right-hander of turn 8. And Struggs will do everything in his power to open up that gap. He's almost out of the kind of truly strong slipstream range here. So it's 8th, 10th, another little tweak for OS Degrees. So Struggs is absolutely caning it now. And OS Degrees desperate to stay on the back of him. He'll do well to stay with him down here. He'll have to use up a lot of ERS. And Struggs has barely used up any ERS on this lap. So let's see how he can do. Coming down here, keeps the gap under a second, but it's going to have to be kept under a second for a whole other lap. Struggs goes to the inside to break the toe, and I think that's the wrong thing not to follow him. And Struggs using a little bit of EOS, more EOS, and now he's out of that slipstream. But can OS Degrees do enough to close down that gap? I think Struggs has just pulled that race lead out. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. And DRS will be activated from this lap onwards, and the gap's already 1.2 seconds, but only 8 tenths behind to Chonk. DRS is enabled. What is going on in the backfield? Fence is up a few positions, certainly here. Alpha Integral's up in 6th position. 7th for Ben. Den Paul still dropped down 2 positions. No gain for him. Louis Vest is just behind Matusas. Should be on a racier tyre here. Should be able to close down that gap just in front. OS Degrees just a bit twitchy on that lap. It did so well on that first lap to keep it at 4 tenths. Can he screw his head back on? Can Strux do enough to break that gap to OS Degrees behind? He's using up every bit of the track to extend that gap. Absolutely critical phase of the race. His fence goes backwards. He goes backwards. He's spun at the exit of turn 6. And he is going backwards and just rejoining the track in front of Rugriff. And there's contact. There is contact between Rugriff and Fence. You saw that there. There is certainly contact. Fence gone further backwards. We'll have to see that in full detail, whether it was a shoddy rejoin or Rugriff should have done better to avoid him there. But OS Degrees now 1.5 seconds back from Strux. Chonk 1.2 seconds down from OS Degrees. And Fence facing the wrong way there. Not sure kind of what damage he's picked up there. Still has his front wings, so still good. And Strux. Now the gap is 1.8 seconds, so you can really see the true pace of Strux on these hard tyres. Extending it from OS Degrees. OS Degrees saving his EOS, probably looking backwards at this point, making sure he grows that gap sufficiently backwards. Second position is good for OS Degrees, doesn't need to go chasing first. Obviously there'll be a safety car at some point in this race. It's very unlikely there isn't, with 20 runners still in the race. Alpha Integral in 4th position, Girion Tour up into 5th, and a big gap down to IBN, and Geordie just going up the inside of him through turn 2. And this is a really big battle for 6th here on track. We'll keep an eye on the gaps at the front, but Denver Pool looking to make a move on IBM. Now he's under pressure from Fade. Fade coming back through the pack here after stopping for a pair of softs, doing something different because he broke his front wing. And he's just trying to go around the outside there. Didn't quite have the position. Denver Pool rightly just gave him just enough. And Fade trying desperately to get through. Obviously has better traction, but needs not to get caught up too much. Louis Revest also desperately trying to get by Matusas, using a bit of EOS into the DRS zone, trying to get the job done before the DRS zone. And is there contact? There is contact, a little bit of scuffling into turn 12, and they go around turn 13, and Louis Revest will do well not to overheat his tyres too much here, and they're basically too wide going through this corner, and Louis Revest has spun. Louis Revest has spun, probably overheating his tyres up too much there, fighting too hard to get by, and just goes back onto the racing line and gets going again. I think it does a decent job of restarting there, but Fade is up into 8th position. Next car is IBN. Matusas holding off Lou and actually taking a place on Denton Pool too. So good move from Matusas there. Lou obviously spinning there, going backwards. It's a shame for him. He had a good race progress going on there. AJ Sinden down to 14th. He's not doing too well on those hards at the moment, possibly being involved in another incident. And the gap at the front has grown to 2 seconds. And Alpha Integral is actually now very close behind Chonk. Chonk not pitting for softs. And those softs are starting to go off. Fence saying my Xbox froze. Do you want an invite back, Fence? Are you back in the race? Alpha Integral right behind Chonk here. Chonk running a very, very high downforce setup, so he will be very vulnerable on the straights if Alpha Integral can get the job done into turn 1. Fade has now made a position on IBN, but will have IBN will have DRS on the car behind, so I'm not sure that's the optimal time to overtake here. But Alpha Integral cruising past Chonk here. I don't think either driver's really using EOS, and the job is done before the braking zone. Geordie, Fade is now probably under attack from IBN, so making that move too early, but tries to outbrake him, go late through there, and he'll have a better drive on the outside there, and he certainly does. Gets the job done, and he will give away DRS again, but may have just caught up to DRS with Geordie in front. I don't think he has. So, it's first place is Struggs. He's kept his lead. OS Degrees in second. Alpha Integral up into third. Chonk moving backwards on those softs, waiting for a safety car. Goal hanging for a safety car at this point. Probably get to go on another pair of softs or something. Girion Tour in 5th. Geordie in 6th position. Fade in 7th. IBN just picking up a 3-second time penalty. Running really far wide. So it seems like a harsh time penalty if he's run that far wide. But McLeod in 10th position here. Closing up on IBN, who's just made a bit of a mistake. And obviously Fade in between 7th and 8th. Fox in 11th position. AJ Sinden back up to 12th. He's been a bit up and down here. I hope he can bring back the form. But just struggling with straight line speed. I'm going to retire. I'm just going to keep on disconnecting or lagging badly. Okay, I'll send you an invite, Fence. Why aren't you on my friends list? I'll go to recently played if you'll be in there. And Fence. Where is Fence? There we are. I'll send invite to Fence. Invite to a game. So, up into 12th position is AJ Sinden. Let's have a look through the order. Geary is now right on the gearbox of Chonk and actually really pushing him. Those tyres are going off like stale milk. You can see the lack of traction through every corner, and Geary on tour has absolutely closed this gap. Using the OS as well. Chonk really slow on the straights. Chonk was saving the OS knowing there's no need to fight that. Absolutely mincemeat and probably should have pit under the safety car, and now is just falling backwards on those soft tyres. I don't know how much further he can take it, but Fade is now up into 6th position. It's only 2.5 seconds down on Chonk. Will be the car to catch up next. Geordie in 7th position, right on the back of Fade on these medium tyres, trying to get something done. The 2008. And you have AJ Sinden battling Fox into turn 6. Captain Fox right on the back of McLeod too, battling for this final points playing position at the moment. And you can see Ganja's fallen quite far down the order, so I don't know if he's had to pit a couple of times there because he's in danger of being lapped by his brother. His twin brother, I should say. And AJ Sinden, his teammate in 12th in the Red Bull, using so much EOS. All these cars have absolutely spent their EOS in this battle. Would probably do well just to back off and try and save as much EOS over the next few laps and try and charge through that way. AJ Sinden, you can see the over rotation of the car rather, really compromising his exit there, and slippery and falling away from Fox, and doesn't have great top line speed either. So really struggling in this race. Not a good race setup for overtaking at least. A good setup for leading, as Struggs extends the lead. McLeod falls backwards. Fox gets the job done, but he doesn't. McLeod right on the edge of track limits there and gets the job done. Pushes Fox all the way wide. Fox will probably have to, I don't know, give that place back, but AJ Sinden's right there looking to pick up the pieces. It'd be audacious to go for a move there, and he does try to go for that move, but I just don't think the gap was ever there for him. But he'll try to stay on the left-hand side of Fox, and Fox cutting that corner a little bit there, so falling back further. Some tight racing between these three stalwarts of the league. And Joker's only just behind too. So Fox will feel hard done by there. Maybe got pushed out round the final corner. That compromised him and made him liable to attack to AJ from AJ. AJ just doing anything to get by, because he certainly doesn't seem to have the top line speed on the straights. We have Chonk, Geary on tour, got past Chonk. Chonk in 5th position. Fade is now only 3/10 behind Chonk. That was 2.5 seconds very recently, and Chonk has done ever so well to keep that well acquainted with Geary on tour just ahead. But Fade now moving quicker and quicker through the pack, looking to get 5th position. Let's have a look at his tyre life. It's 9 lap old softs, so he'll be hoping for a safety car soonish. But all 20 cars are still in this race, and he does get that job done. Retakes the racing line and almost crashes back into the back of Geary with so much extra speed from the DRS, but will be in the DRS for Geary on tour. Can he make it 2 overtakes in 3 corners? I don't think he's close enough here, but he'll be looking to make a move on the next lap. He closes. Maybe he's going to look for the overtake. He does look for the overtake, and he goes for it. And Geary on tour will try to hang around the outside, but no way forward there. So Fade is up into 4th position, 2 places in 3 corners rather. Good moves and good racing from Fade there. try and hit himself back into the race this lead, and we have a car going slowly at the back straight here. Not quite sure why it's going slowly, but Fence in 19th position here, looking to close up. Gandra in 20th. He's on the back straight, very much in danger of being overtook by his teammate. And Giri now doing everything to try and stay within the DRS of Fade in front. Use him to bring him closer to the cars in front as a bit of a buffer, but you have to stay in that DRS, and I think he's just done enough on this lap to stay in DRS, so that'll be an extra 4 attempts gained, as long as he can keep it sensible through 11 and 12, and I think he does. He's certainly in the DRS. He won't be able to attack, that's one thing for sure, as those softs just providing superior traction, and Chonk has pitted. Chonk has pitted for another pair of softs, and I think had contact with Dead in the Pool maybe, as there's contact at turn 10. Dead in the Pool off the track and rejoining the track, but those two cars were very close there. And Chonk on a fresh pair of tyres may have got tangled up with Dead in the Pool there. IBN making a move on to AGS Inden. AGS Inden looking to try and get past IBN and trying to go around the outside, and oh, there's contact between those two. I'm unsure. I think IBN absolutely outbroke himself there. Maybe he was looking for the pits, but not the way to do it. Got to remember there's a car there, so that was a bit of contact there. Very, very strange angle on that one. Do not expect to see overtakes into turn 16, but certainly overshooting his marks, and AGS Inden into 10th position. I think falling down a place there to Captain Rainbow Fox as well, and McLeod. So 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or maybe 1 step forward, 2 steps back there for AJ. Racing in the wrong positions, and McLeod is in 8th position on those medium tyres. I think starting on a pair of softs, went to a pair of mediums on lap 9. Matusas up into 7th position after starting way down the backfield. Geordie in 6th, Girion Tour in 5th, Fade up into 4th position and closing down on Alfred Treckle. But look at that gap to the leader. Look at that gap to the leader. I think he'll be able to go onto a pair of mediums maybe in another 10 laps, so it'll be looking like another pair of softs certainly for Fade. He ran 9 laps on a pair of hards at the start of this race, spun, got wing damage, had to pit, had to put a pair of softs on, and will be begging for another safety car at this point, because he's probably just slot into 10th position or 11th position. Maybe in a few laps times, that's when he'll be begging for a safety car. Hopefully the gods will come true for him there, as we have Alva Integral in 3rd place. Degrees in 2nd. Slowly that gap extends to the lead. Struggs cruising around again. I think he's led every lap. Crossing the line every lap. Obviously Fade overtook him on the first lap, but Struggs having really good pace here. And AGS Inden has pitted, so must have a bit of damage, because it's very early to pit on those hards. Maybe thinking, let's do something different. Is he going onto a pair of mediums? He's going onto a pair of mediums. So going onto a pair of mediums and maybe hoping for a late dash of softs at the end, but he's having to change his front wing, so that's why he's pitting. And down in 6th position, and it's very, very really going to be 17th, 18th, maybe 19th by the time he comes out. Let's see where he feeds out into the pack. It's a really disastrous race for AJ so far, and I think it's going to be 18th position, just falling behind IBN. IBN has also pitted, so 17th position it will be. Onto the medium tyres. IBN also pitting from that collision the lap before at turn 16. And Fade not really closing up the car in front, so not able to deliver true performance on those softs. Geordie now under pressure from Matusas behind. Racing well here. Good race pace. Obviously poor qualifying pace because he had 56 laps of fuel in his car. And he gets the move done into turn 14. And those medium tyres will start to be going off soon. So medium runners may start to think it's time to pit, time to go for that pair of hards. Obviously the benefit of going on those hards is you can run long and offset your tyre towards the end of the race. If you've got good pace like Struggs, like Halfin Treadwell, like Gibby do on those hards, you get to put on a pair of mediums at the end of the race and be quicker. But it's stability on the car in these final 25% of the laps. From lap 40 onwards, I would say, 45 onwards, really starts to get quite tricky. OS Degrees will start to fall away on these tyres. Fade has closed that gap, maybe by 5/10, which is good on our old pair of softs. 13 lap old softs for Fade against 21 lap pair of hards. I think those hards will start to come better very, very soon, if they haven't already. Matusas really closing in on Giri on tour as well, so 5th position definitely up to grabs here, and he'll be in DRS for this next run. Will he? I think he will just be in DRS. Let's follow on board, but I don't think he'll be close enough to get any kind of job done into turn 14, and it feels like it comes forever at the end of the back straight, but he does get DRS. The flap pops open and he closes down by about 4/10. Starts to put Giri on tour under pressure. The stand-in for Wool jumped in with only 15 minutes to spare. Very late notice. Thank you very much for filling in the gap. As he closes down on 5th position. Still not going to be able to get the move done, but certainly on this lap you have to think the pace is there for Matusas on these hard tyres. He's racing incredibly well. Teammate just in 12th position coming into pits now. Joker 13 laps on a pair of softs since the restart, and thinking about another pair of tyres. What does he go on to at this stage? I think the medium probably is an optimum choice. Maybe a pair of hards if you've got them. Yep, he's got a pair of hards, so a pair of hards to the end. That could be his final pit stop if there's no more safety cars. I'm sure there are going to be more safety cars. We also see Louis Vest pitting. He's gone 14 laps on those softs. Also changing a front wing. So going to lose a place to Alex Trent G here. And Matusas is only 4/10 down on Giri on tour. And he'll have a look into turn 14. So this is turn 11 coming up. The left hand of turn 11 to the right hand of turn 12. Just after which is the DRS detection zone. Right here. And oh, he just gets his wheel up in the inside. Not a place to go for an overtake. And may compromise his exit. And he may be under pressure from Geordie here. Gap grows to 6/10, 7/10 of a second. Won't be able to get the move done into turn 1, being a bit impatient there. Giri goes very defensive, weaves to the right, weaves back to the left, taking his racing line, that's allowed, and brakes at 100. Matusas actually fired one in, ridden the side of Giri there. I don't think that's quite on. I think he's outbroke himself a bit there, but he'll be able to go for an overtake into this next corner. Only 3/10 down, and Giri on tour massively struggling on these old hards at the moment. Matusas finding life in them. Closing down, closing down. I think he'll be too far away for a move into turn 1, but he certainly want to. And Giri on tour running a little bit wide as well, which is inviting Matusas in, luring him in little by little. You can see a kind of brake juggling going on as the distance closes and opens, and Geordie just behind, waiting to pick up the scraps here. I think Matusas got a bit too equated with the back of Giri there at turn 12. And that cost him a chance of overtaking down the back straight into 14, because the gap grew by 3/4, but it should have been coming down by about 3/4. AJ Sinden fastest lap of the race on that pair of mediums that he's pitted onto 3 laps ago. And the gap is nearly 10 seconds at the front of the race. You have to start to think when OS Degrees will pit for hards, maybe waiting for a safety car to come to his advantage here. I think any time now, mediums would struggle to get to the end, but hards certainly would. So a safety car is what OS Degrees wants, and there's a lot of natural field spread at the moment, so not too many battles going on. And Matusas gets very sloppy through turn 13, and that will make Geordie he's very close to him, but he's going to clip, and that him running out of energy is actually worse than him not deploying it at all. And I think that means that gap stays strong, and Giri until just doing enough to keep this. Oh, bit of contact from Geordie and Matusas there. Maybe a bit of damage. Just out braking himself, a bit lazy into turn 14. And looks to be struggling with traction. Gets a time penalty to boot. So that's misery compounded. McLeod gets the job done into turn 14. Or was it Captain Mayweather Fox attempting a move on McLeod? But AJ Sinder will be happy. He's on a pair of mediums and he'll be lapping faster than the cars in front, so maybe going for a big undercut here. And the cars in front yet to pit. Fade the only one to pit, and Fade has just really maintained that gap. It's come down maybe 5 tenths to Alpha Integral on 16 lap old softs. He'll have to pit soon. He will have to pit soon. And we see a big battle between Giri and Matusas. Well, who is that actually? It must be Joker, Rugriff, and Dead in the Pool, all battling very close behind. Let's see who can get 50th position here. I think IBN's going to hold on to 50th position. Dead in the Pool has to stick behind there. Falling down the order, and AJ Sinden looking to go back up the order. Through the pit stops here, he's pitted for the pair of mediums, got out of the trapping and hoping to close down that gap. Through the pits. Captain Rainbow Fox right on the back of McLeod. But it's Matusas and Giri on tour, the battle we want to watch. Geordie falling behind this lap, so Matusas doesn't need to focus on defending, he just needs to focus on closing up this gap. Giri on tour doesn't have much ERS, Matusas has a lot more ERS to spend, so maybe just eyeing up taking this position into first place. Matusas clearly has a lot more pace at this stage of the race. Fade yet again not pitting, taking it to the 17th lap, so they'll be very slow, these tyres, they'll start to go off. And he'll close down, gap 3 tenths of a second, going to 2 tenths. Will he be close enough into turn 1? He almost takes a look, he almost wants to take a look, but he doesn't quite get the move done. And I think he could use a bit more ERS to get this move done, but he'll stick right with him. He's closed down that gap. McLeod and Captain Rainbow Fox coming to a head, but there's a spinner. I think it's IBN, he's spun at the final corner. And he gets going again. But we haven't seen the safety car for 15 laps. And how much would all the medium runners love a safety car at this juncture? The medium runners would absolutely love a safety car at this juncture because it would allow them to go onto hards. The hard runners wouldn't be able to go onto mediums, so they'd have to wait a few laps. They'd certainly keep position but lose track position through the pit stops. Or maybe have to take a risk and go onto a pair of hard mediums early and try and make them count through the race. So OS Degrees absolutely goal hanging now for a safety car. So is Fade. Those tyres starting to go off. He's lost a second and a half to Alpha Integral in front. Gap still 6 seconds to Giri on tour just behind, but Fade will have to go into the pit soon because he's starting to struggle on those softs. 17 laps old. They're certainly beyond their best, but he'd love a safety car at this point in time. I think mediums are too early for Fade, so he may have to go onto a pair of softs, and OS Degrees does pit. OS Degrees says enough is enough. I'm not going to be able to get a safety car here, am I? So he's looking at falling down into that battle with Fox, McLeod and Chonk. Of course it's Chonk. Of course it's Chonk with the Ferraris. So let's see where he feeds out. Chonk trying to go around the outside and he goes off track. He does go off track there, so it's a close one, but looks like he went off track there, and OS Degrees just coming out in the fight, and McLeod just going outside, and Chunk will want to get it done early on this hard runner, these 8 lap old softs, but OS Degrees won't have to battle Chunk too much, and I think Chunk, it could come under pressure for Fox here. He'll want to go on the attack to help his teammate defend. OS Degrees going up the inside, going defensive into turn 6, and Chunk trying to get the move done, goes very deep, but has better traction out the corner, so does get the move done, helps his teammate McLeod build a gap there, but OS Degrees, who's really in the battle for second position, isn't in a battle with Chonk necessarily on those softs, and OS Degrees does actually give a place to Captain Rainbow Fox there. I'm not quite sure what that's about, but maybe a bit of wing damage or something, because there's no need for him to be letting Captain Rainbow Fox, especially during this part of the race. Interesting to know what that's about. Maybe Fox doesn't want to lose time to Chonk, but I can't understand why OS Degrees has let Fox through there. There are very different strategies, and maybe OS Degrees failing to get the tyres warmed up, so wanting to let Fox by, and there's a yellow flag, sector 1-2. Looks to be a Aston Martin, or possibly IBN struggling. Yeah, but it's IBN struggling out of turn 4 on the run into turn 5, has spun. So we have Chonk now in 7th position. McLeod has let him by. The two teammates working together. And Chonk racing ahead on that pair of softs. He's actually got net second on the road as it stands. And we're looking to close down that gap to first. How does Chonk slot into play here? He'll still have good life on those softs for the next 3-4 laps. Fade doing a mammoth stint on those softs in 19 laps. And Matusas has got past Giri on tour. So into 4th position. 5th on the road with OS Degrees already pitting for those hard tyres. You'd have to expect that Captain Rainbow Fox will have to let OS Degrees by soon because they'll get blocked up, and blocked up badly. OS Degrees obviously in the fight for a podium position here. Captain Rainbow Fox fighting for about 8th, 9th position. And Fox probably just wants to give DRS to OS Degrees as well. So on the back straight you expect him to give him the position here. Fade somehow making those tyres work for so long, but really I think a few of these drivers just waiting for a safety car, and this is starting to fall more and more into the clutches of Struggs, our race leader, our championship leader, and he could get to the point where it's done and dusted. IBN comes into the pits and retires from the session, clearly suffering some damage, maybe with AGS Inden, and deciding it's time to call it quits. Feels like he's a bit dangerous as a Fade comes into pits. So Fade, the softs of Fade have come into pits. He'll fall down into about 11th position, maybe falling behind AGS Inden here. AGS Inden switching to a pair of mediums, and there is Fence coming out of the pits, is it? Or is it a oh, it's IBN coming out of the pits. Yeah, just stupid game. So Fade falls behind. Captain Rainbow Fox still ahead of his teammate, so I'm not sure why OS Degrees hasn't been let through here. I think OS Degrees will have better pace, and it's actually going to cost him battling with this back pack. I'm not sure why Fox hasn't let OS Degrees through here this early on. I know Fox is battling McLeod, but OS Degrees should have superior race pace. You'd have to imagine the 98 car of OS Degrees fighting with the 44 car of Captain Rainbow Fox. It's 42, sorry. It's a 42 car because 44 is across Lewis Hamilton. So, yeah, I'm really interested to know why OS Degrees has fallen behind Captain Rainbow Fox, unless he has a bit of damage. But OS Degrees is battling with the race leaders. He's battling with Alpha Integral here, and this is actually causing Alpha Integral to take second place on the road away from OS Degrees. So, bit of a strange strategy, I must say. And IBN is our first car to retire 30 laps in. And OS Degrees does still doesn't have the pace on those hard tyres. And Captain Rainbow Fox actually going for a move on McLeod, but not getting the move done. I think the thing to do would be to allow OS Degrees through, let him get the job done. McLeod running very wide there, which will help him defend position, but it shouldn't really. And there's a spinning McLaren. It looks like Alex Trent G has lost a few positions at turn 13. Matusas up into 3rd position, starting really far down the pack, maybe 16th or 17th position he started, but he's up into 3rd. Alpha Integral's 2nd place. Struggs almost has a pit stop on Alpha Integral, certainly does have a pit stop on Matusas already, so Struggs would slot into 3rd position, and I think those mediums could be are pittable at any stage now, so any hint of a safety car and Struggs will come in for a pair of mediums. Alpha Integral will also come in for a pair of mediums, but Struggs showing the race pace this weekend, showing up the pack. Giri on tour. In 4th position. Doing well for the Haas. Could score good points for the Haas here. Have to see how the Western work out. Chonk in 6th position. OS Degrees and Fox battling McLeod here. And this could be 2 Ferraris past McLeod in 2 corners. But OS Degrees has so much more pace. He's going to go up the inside of both of them. It could be an absolute disaster. He does back away though. And I just can't understand why OS Degrees is not the lead Ferrari in this situation. Why Captain Rainbow Fox has been deemed to have race position here. But now these 2 cars are past OS Degrees, past McLeod. Surely Fox is going to let OS Degrees by, and he does. So I don't understand why OS Degrees on the fresher tyres wasn't the car to come into the pits. McLeod does pit. So just a strange strategy call from Ferrari there. Certainly OS Degrees has lost time through that. Possibly, maybe even fallen behind Alpha Integral on the road. Maybe OS Degrees thinking that he got second place sewn up, but he's also in a battle with Chonk, of course, because Chonk is on an alternate strategy, soft to soft. I presume to see him on another pair of softs before the end of this race. Let's see, because he's run very, very far on this pair of softs, on his original pair of softs. I think Chonk will go on another pair of softs in this race and put OS Degrees under pressure. Raced so well here last year, Chonk took the win off me, I must say, frustratingly, after penalties were removed for Chonk. Quite rightly so. So, OS Degrees is... I don't think he's fully clocked that he's in a race with Chonk here, and I don't quite know why OS Degrees wasn't allowed to go through. But we have a yellow flag through Sector 1. It's one of the... possibly Joker getting lapped. No, it's... who is it? It must be... I have no idea who that is. It may... it's so hard to tell the greens from the blues, from the whatevers. Louis Vest going slowly there, in 18th position, coming out the pits. And Matusas has pitted. So it'll be interesting to see where Matusas is compared to OS Degrees. How much time he's lost. As OS Degrees was caught up in a battle there. So you must think that he may have gained a little bit of time on OS Degrees. But OS Degrees rises through. Chonk also into the pits. So Chonk deciding now for a pair of mediums. They'll get to the end, those pair of mediums. But he's got a lot of battling to do here to get back up to the top steps. I think saving a pair of softs maybe for a last ditch run if there's a safety cars towards the end of this race. The race starting to become really fragmented. Struggs, Alpha Integral, Giri on tour yet to stop on those hards. Matusas just coming in. You'd think Giri on tour would fall behind Fence and Matusas. And Matusas on that pair of mediums now will close in on Alpha Integral. This is his time to shine. Get some quick pace in. Have a lot fresher softs. Be able to put some good lap times in. Struggs really nicely managing the lead of this race. I really haven't been on board with him too much, but does he look to pit? No, he goes around once again. And he's just managing this race quite nicely, putting in 1:38 freeze. Only a second off his race time. Obviously less fuel at this stage, but his tyres have degraded, so won't be able to be putting in fastest laps. But I'm sure as soon as he goes onto a pair of mediums any time now, he'll definitely have the opportunity to put in the fastest lap again and maybe cling on to it to the end. All the car drivers now on hards or mediums, no one on that soft tyre, that option soft tyre, and Fade now up into 5th position and only 2.5 seconds behind OS Degrees. So Fade's strategy on the softs there really helping him, and this is why I was so confused why OS Degrees wasn't released by Fox, because I felt OS Degrees could have got the move done a lot quicker. And now Giri on tour goes into the pits, so he loses a couple of positions. OS Degrees back up to 3rd position, and Alpha Integral would fall behind. OS Degrees on the road as it stands would probably fall behind Fade, but Fade is massively under pressure, and there's a full safety car. There is a full safety car. So, good timing for, I think good timing for Struggs and Alpha, that safety car, because that will save them time. Alpha Integral may just scoot out in front of OS Degrees here. OS Degrees is 23 seconds down, 24 seconds down, and that lap time is I think OS Degrees may lose out to Alpha Integral through the pits and be on worse tyres here. And Alpha Integral will have a shot at the race lead. Struggs have built up that race lead. Presumably they'll both go for medium tyres. And let's follow through Struggs as he goes into the pits. Not quite sure why this... Oh, Mr. Bullbaggery is out. So that's why this DNF has been called. Let us know what happened to you, Mr. Bullbaggery. But we still have 18 runners left. 34 laps into this 100% Grand Prix of Shanghai International Circuit. The SRL-100 round 9. Struggs, our championship leader, still in 1st position. Alpha Integral just going into the pits now. He's so far back. But I don't think this pit will lose him a position. I think he'll also stay in 2nd. OS Degrees massively losing out through the pits. And I have to say, I think OS Degrees probably had the pace to be in 2nd position here if he wasn't caught behind McLeod for so long. But who else is coming into the pit? So it's Alpha Integral. He goes on to a pair of mediums and does indeed get in front of OS Degrees. So frustrating for OS Degrees, but a bit of a strange strategy call from Ferrari to not release him earlier on. He certainly could have got by in that 3.5 seconds, 3 seconds, whatever that would be. That has cost him massively. But Fade on a pair of mediums, 5 lap old. He's back in it too. He'll be hoping second position is back on the table. AGS Inden, 13 lap old mediums. He's back up to 5th. Captain Faber Fox going into pits. Fence also pitting. And Matsusas up in 6th position. Girion Tor in 7th. Losing out through the pit stops, you must say. Chonk in 8th position. He could have waited a couple more laps, certainly on the softs he had. Maybe gained a couple more positions on the safety car, but you live and learn. You don't really know if it's going to come out. You don't know if you're harming your strategy or improving it. So, Fox down into 10th position. He has a fresh pair of mediums. I believe he started on softs, went onto a pair of hards, and now has mediums to the end. So he'll be looking to get points here after starting from the back. Chonk similarly started from the back, only 2 places ahead of him, and on slightly older mediums, you must say. So Fox having a slight edge on his fellow disqualified from qualifier. Rugriff in 11th, Fence in 12th, McLeod in 13th, Ganja in 14th, Alex Trent G in 15th, Louis Vest on a fairly fresh pair of mediums, he's in 16th, and Denderpool 17th, Joker 18th. I don't think anyone has been lapped, judging by where they're on the field. So no lapped cars. The 2 DNF cars, Mr. Borbagri of the Haas, his DNF causing this safety car presumably, and IBN retiring in the pits, I think having a bit of damage after contact with AGS Inden into turn 16, the final corner here. Not typically an overtaking corner, so a bit of an incident between those two. And it will take a while to close up here. Alpha Integral will feel racy in second position. He's come from a bit further back on the field. Alex Trent G, he had such a great qualifying, put it into 3rd, but somehow languishing down in 15th. Ganja, he's in 14th position on 19 lap old medium. Surprised he hasn't pitted for something here. I don't know what he could go on. Pair of softs would maybe get to the end. Wouldn't be great for about 5 laps at the end there, but would give him a bit of pace and maybe an option under safety car if he's got 2 sets of softs left, but you'd have to imagine he probably doesn't at this stage of the race. AGS Inden also on a pair of mediums. He'll be hoping for another safety car so he can slot on a pair of softs. He'll probably move backwards. He's in 5th position at the moment, some fast drivers behind on fresher rubber. And Joker is in 18th position, more or less where he qualified, truth be told. Matsusas has gained a lot of positions here. Good race for Matsusas. He's had a few whoopsies recently, a few crashes, and constructors wise will be hoping to inject a bit of life back into his constructors charge. I think falling just behind AGS Inden last weekend. So our race winner Australia, Matsusas, being out-consistencyed by AGS Inden, who's scored 3 or 4 second places. I'm sure he'll tell me after the fact. But we'll have another lap under safety car, and then we should see the cars come in on lap 37. Not come in, but the safety car come in on lap 36 for the cars to go racing on lap 37. We should. I think it's just the length of the straight to be closed down, and that will certainly get done. So it'll be an interesting final 20 laps here. Struggs has done everything right. The purple helmet on P1, missed out into turn 1, Fade just scooting in front, but Struggs fought back immediately and took the position by the end of the lap and has led every single lap since then. Could be another Grand Chelem, because that's how you count it. If they are leading as they cross the line, then they are counted as leading that lap. So far on for another Grand Chelem. Two in a row. That would be certainly something, certainly putting in the hours Means a lot to him, this championship. And you can see how dedicated he is to it. Unparalleled in pace, in consistency, in points. I think he's 21 points averaging per race, and that includes a DNF in the feature race at Monza. So superb run of form, always around the podium positions, and it's been his championship. But Fade would dearly love to do something about that. Obviously Struggs won't be doing the final race of the year. Safety car will come in this lap. It will come in this lap. If it knows what's good for it, it does. Right, okay, so safety car in this lap will ride on board with Struggs. But he's led every lap. And a perfect time for this safety car to come out. Can he do enough to fend off from Alpha Integral? He did enough to fend off from Most Degrees in those opening laps. Let's have a look at what his restart's like this time around. He went very, very late last time, just as they turned 16. That's when he planted the power. OS Degrees was very close behind him, but just couldn't get a sniff into turn 1. We ride on board with the purple helmet of Struggs into turn 1. Into turn 14, sorry. And follow him round. Turn 15, turn 16. Warming up the tyres, warming up the engine by over-revving it. So apologies for the noise. And when does he go? And he goes at the exit of turn 16. And it's a good restart. Alpha Integral not close behind, actually more under pressure from OS Degrees on those hard tyres. That's what Struggs will want to see. Alpha Integral under pressure, and he's grown the gap to 6/10 already by the time they reach turn 1. Obviously no DRS for the first 2 laps, so absolutely crucial for Struggs to build up that gap to 1 second. Get out of harm's ways of the cars behind, and there's battling behind, but we'll focus on the front just for now. As AJ Sindens maintain 5th position in with those slower tyres. No overtaking opportunities through this middle sector, at least traditionally not. And we have that gap slowly going up. But Matusas, he's only just behind AJ Sinden. He'd love to get by, and there's been contact in the backfield. Louis Rivest, Joker, and Alex Trent G. He's had a miserable race involved. But Matusas all over the back of AJ Sinden. Actually, AJ Sinden all over the back of Fade. Fade not having a perfect restart here. And, well, it's actually OS Degrees being a bit of a cork in the bottle. But this gap has already grown to 9/10 from Alpha Integral to Struggs. Struggs using every bit of ERS to break this gap. Alpha Integral also realising that he needs to spend ERS to get this done. OS Degrees under pressure on those hard tyres. Fade already looking for a move into turn 14. Up the inside he goes. Can he get the job done? OS Degrees, I think, just lets him go by, but I think Fade runs offline there, so we'll have to give that position back, and does slot in behind him. We'll go around this corner and try to go for the move into turn 1. Struggs setting the fastest lap of the race. On the return to racing, the gap has grown to 1.3 seconds. OS Degrees under pressure from Struggs' teammate Fade here as they go through turn 1. Fade shoves up the inside. OS Degrees will desperately try to cling around the outside here. She keeps the wheel in. And who will have better traction out of turn 3 through turn 4? That will become the inside of turn 5 and turn 6 for Fade. Fade doing everything in his possession to get by OS Degrees. And he does get the job done. Takes 4 and a bit turns. 6 and a bit, including a lap before. But he does get the job done there. He'll focus on Alpha Integral in front and his teammate. Hope to close down. Hope he'll have better kind of luck on these medium tyres. Didn't seem to enjoy those hard tyres at the start of the race. But Fade is back in the race. AJ Sinden, 17 lap old mediums, but looks to be on the back of OS Degrees here. And if he can keep on the back of OS Degrees, that will make him be able to defend better from Matusas behind. Gibby on tour in 7th position. Chonk in 8th. Hasn't made progress under the safety car. Geordie in 9th. Fences in 10th. Captain Fox has dropped a place, but he gets Fence here again, so he's back in the 7th position from the safety car. And we have a look at the gaps. AJ Sinden closing up on OS, but he just does not have the straight line speed in that car. So really, really frustrating. And Fade not closing down that gap on Alpha Integral. Obviously his tyres are much, much older than Alpha Integral's, but doesn't close down that gap. Alpha Integral and Strugs have actually spent their EOS heavily, and Fade has a little bit more EOS to play than the cars in front, so can use that to close down. But some good battling there through the order. OS Degrees, one of our cleanest drivers, I would say our cleanest driver in our roster, never has received a penalty in any event, SRL event. And he's raced in every single SRL event as well. So he is our cleanest driver by far, and some good racing with Fade. Let Fade outbrake himself into turn 14, gave him space to attack into turn 1, and went 2 by 2 through 1, 2, 3 and 4. AJS Inden now on the back of OS Degrees, and Fade struggling to keep pace with the cars in front. Those cars in front are absolutely focused on each other. Alpha Integral keeping Strugs honest on those medium tyres. The gap hasn't grown too much. Maybe Strugs just happy to keep it at 2 seconds, the gap. But AJS Inden struggling with traction at turn 13. Not the first time we've seen that in this race, and that will give Matusas a perfect opportunity when DRS comes along. He will have DRS AJS Inden to defend because he was in 1 second of a squeeze, but you can see he just doesn't quite have the traction and the speed, and Matusas has to be afforded space up the inside, but better traction on the outside there, and AJS Inden starts to fall behind OS a bit more, but actually closes up on OS. So OS doing a good job here. Fade closing that gap down to Alpha Integral. Strugs opening up that gap 4/10 this lap. And we have AJS Inden down in 5th position, fighting on those older tyres. OS Degrees got 30 in lap old hards too, so not ideal for him. He would do very, very well to stay in 4th position for the rest of this race. With these racier cars behind, Chonk has made up a position on Giri on tour. Chonk actually looking more like he wants to make a move on Matusas into turn 6. He does go late on the brakes, and he looks to have got a move done. I don't know if there was much contact there, but now Chonk is on the back of AJ. Chonk having a point to prove after being disqualified from qualifying due to accumulating too many points. He found the point that he got very contentious at the 5 points he got at Portugal for a desync, but his AI did absolutely wipe the front wing off Jordi, so it had to be penalised. But Chonk coming back through the pack here nicely, and now on 8 lap old mediums he'll be looking to take positions off AJ, take positions off OS, and maybe go and throw a few dice at the front of the grid. We've got 16 laps left of this Chinese Grand Prix, and OS trying to weave to break the toe. One move to the right, one move to the left. AJS Inden up the inside of OS Degrees, but if these two cars battle too much, they'll end up behind and losing places to Chonk. But Matusas gets past Chonk as well, so Chonk falling behind, not getting the job as done as he thought he had done. So AJS Inden up in front of OS Degrees. OS Degrees looking to come back down the inside at turn 1. It's great battling between these two, and AJS Inden trying to go around all the way around the outside as it comes to the inside for turn 3 for AJS Inden. And a little bit of contact, and I think AJS Inden spun. No, he hasn't spun. Managed to keep going the right way, but a bit of contact between those two, and AJS Inden decides to drop behind, probably not happy with making contact and trying to take the position, but he goes right back for an attack at turn 6. More contact between the two, I think. And these two cars are starting to push the envelope a bit too much. Matusas now right on the back of this battle, even though Chonk was seemingly had snatched it away from him just a lap ago. Great battle from these cars. Strugs is going the gap to 3.6 at the front. Strugs, Alpha Integral only managed to keep Fade at bay. 2.7 is the gap. OS Degrees massively falling behind here due to this battle with the cars behind. It's hard to know where to look. AJS Inden battling for 4th. Matusas battling for 6th with Chonk. You'd have to think that AJS Inden will get the move done here. He's only 2.3 seconds behind, even with the shocking amount of straight line speed that AJS Inden has. Back flap opens, and he gets the move done around the outside. OS Degrees will try to hand it in the inside. Chonk not close enough for a move. Matusas almost tagging the back of OS Degrees there, just getting it slowed down in time. And OS Degrees has fallen down to 5th position. But will we see the same again last time? OS Degrees using every bit of his nous to try and take the position back into turn 1. AJ Sinden is absolutely defenseless. It doesn't matter how much EOS he's got, but AJ Sinden will try to keep it around the outside, knowing that if he can keep it clean, then it will be a good move. And he can keep it clean. Is there any contact? No contact there. He'll have a bit of traction out of here, but OS Degrees will again have the inside for turn 5 and 6. Tries to keep it around the outside. If he can keep it around the outside of here, better traction out of turn 6, he can have the inside into turn 7. And I'm losing the track numbers as he does get by. Absolutely great stuff. 5 or 6 corners going too wide, and Matusas now desperately looking to get past OS Degrees. Does not want to get stuck behind. And there's contact. There's contact from Chonk. Chonk certainly made contact with the back of Matusas there. So Chonk getting involved in another incident, too racy for his own good, and causes contact with Matusas. Matusas falls down. It's such a shame. That is an absolute shame, and there looks to be more contact as a percussion of it. Captain Rainbow Fox looks to have lost his front wing. I wonder if this is a late safety car at this stage. But, oh, that is gutting for Matusas. Looks like Chonk just tagged the back of him, and that has cost Matusas dearly, and will probably cost Chonk dearly if it's found that he did make contact with him there. OS Degrees and AJ Sinden are doing battle again into turn 14. And they will try everything. They are battling like absolute nutters for third position, fourth position in the race. And AJ Sinden trying to keep OS really far wide, and I think he'll get him done into turn 1. These two absolutely battling wildly, and Chonk is now back in this fight. Through foul means or good, he is right back into 6th position, and maybe he'll be giving them a nudge next time around. Looks like Matusa certainly did get contact from Chonk the lap before. OS Degrees, just starting to spin, a little bit of a half spin. That's tagged up AJ Sinden. Chonk now sensing blood, will maybe go for a move into turn 6, but AJ Sinden's going down the inside. But will AJ Sinden get a move done? No, there's contact between these two. It's starting to get a bit feisty between these two, and AJ Sinden does get the move done, but there is contact. OS Degrees goes to take back the lead, and Chonk right behind OS Degrees. This is where last time around Matusas got chunked up. But, oh my lord, Fence is part of this battle. Is this actually Fence or is this AI Fence? Who knows? And Chonk trying to go around the outside of turn 11. That's not going to happen. Turn 12 is this right-hander. And through turn 3, AJ Sinden will be absolutely a sitting duck on the straight again, because his top line speed is flipping atrocious. And AJ Sinden 5 tenths behind. OS Degrees will close and close and close. Chonk is closing on that, so he'll maybe want to go and move on OS Degrees. And OS Degrees weaving a bit all over the place and unsure about who he's batting. And Fence has absolutely sent one in the inside, and he tries to make contact. Well, he doesn't try to make contact, he tries to get it done, and he does get it done. Maybe makes a bit of contact with OS Degrees, part of the process, but AJ Sinden now looks to have got that job done. But those mediums are going to start to get dead old. And he's still got to do 12 laps on them, so he's looking to take those to lap 35. I don't think that's going to happen. He's going to be hoping for a safety car, certainly, so he can jump onto a pair of softs at this late stage and make progress right at the end here. Struggs has built a nice gap of 5 seconds to Alpha Integral. Alpha Integral's built the gap to 3.5 seconds over Fade at the front of the race, but this is all eyes on the race for P4, 5, 6 and 7. And OS Degrees Fence looks like he's going to try and go around the outside here. And there's a bit of contact between the two. I don't think they quite realised where they were, but I think it's okay. And we don't want to see contact through here again, but he's trying to go around the outside, and that is not an orthodox place to overtake, but he looks to have got it done. And Chonk thinks, I'm just going to sneak through, thank you very much. No problem about that. That seems like a nice overtaking opportunity for me. And OS Degrees, who looked so good for a podium early on, has now fallen down to 7th position. Just the strategy not going his way. Absolutely unfortunate, but now Fence is only 6 tenths down on AJ Sinden. And we'll see the difference in these two pace as they close down the straight. I don't think Fence has that quicker setup here either. But so that will be a relief to AJ Sinden. Chonk certainly not having that good a pace either early on the straights. But absolutely backed up behind OS Degrees. OS Degrees will want to fight back into this race. Hopefully pick up any scraps from the cars fighting in front. We've already seen a fair chunk of contact, or should we say a fair chunk of contact going into 6 and 7, and Fence closing down through turn 1 and turn 2. This second apex of turn 2. He's right on the back of AJ Sinden. He's got much fresher mediums, Fence. The freshest mediums of this battle should be the best tyre compound, and Fence could be battling back up into 4th position after spinning out early doors and having a bit of a torrid time. And he goes to the outside. This certainly isn't AI Fence. This is a proper full-fledged Fence in for control. And he tries to out-muscle him around the outside, and he gets the job done before turn 7. Fence now has 4th position in this race. Chunk will be right behind AJ Sinden, licking his lips, trying to get through. But AJ Sinden will be smart. He'll use the DRS of Fence and perhaps try and close down the gap on Fence. But that's grown to 6/10. That's already beginning to be too big a gap to attack. But he'll be smart. He'll try to use the DRS and try to hold on to 5th position for as long as possible. Very much in a situation though where these mediums are going to start to fall off a cliff, much like Kimi Raikkonen's tyres fell off a cliff in 2012. After backing up half the track, basically handing Nico Rosberg its maiden win in Formula 1. And Chunk closes down, but AJ Sinden does have DRS. The gap has grown, and there's a yellow flag out somewhere, sector 3. Possibly, there looks to be an incident between Dead and the Pool and some kind of incident at turn 12. Backed up here, Louis Vest had a promising opening few laps, but has been involved in a few squabbles up and down the order. I expect to see a few incidents after the race. The instant thread will go live straight after the race, for those wondering, and it's all ready to go. So, with 10 laps left, OS Degrees looks to have fallen out of this battle. It's actually Girion Tor who's right behind him now. AJ Sinden fallen a second behind Fence. Fence seems to have snatched the initiative and took 4th position. Chonk is only 2 tenths behind AJ Sinden, and he's been very close to cars through here before. Let's hope that he can keep it clean through turn 7 and turn 8. Matusas falling very far back earlier on. Matusas fighting back through the field. I think he's displaced to be as far down as Knife. Certainly has the pace for the top 5 here, and looked on it to take top 5th position before that contact early doors. And Chonk is 5 tenths behind AJ Sinden. So AJ Sinden doing a stellar job on those old mediums. Can he take him to lap 35? I very much doubt it. Well, 35 laps on those medium compound at least. 10 more laps to go. We're on lap 46 off 56 as Struggs goes to cross the line. Alex Trent Jr. in danger of being the first car to be lapped here. I think that Aston Martin will be lapped. The Aston Martin Ruger is the first car to be lapped. So, Chonk around the outside at turn 14. AJ Sinden gets it nicely stopped on the apex, parks it. So the old switcheroo can't be done. And Chonk is going to go and try and take AJ Sinden into turn 1. And they'll be really feeling like he needs to get it done, because look at that gap to Fence, it has grown. And AJ Sinden just having enough pace to get this car to stop behind him. Chonk right behind AJ Sinden. And AJ Sinden doing really well to stay in 5th position here. He's had some bad luck, spun early doors on those hards, and has come back through the field through good strategy. And OS Degrees has been done over by the safety car, let's say. OS Degrees doing really well on those 20 lap old hards to stay in this battle. Obviously those hards will start to come a lot better than AJ Sinden's mediums. And Struggs has built that gap to 6.5, Fade 4.7 behind Alpha Integral. So at the moment the gap would grow by about 11 points, because I believe Struggs has fastest lap. Let's have a look at fastest lap detail. Fastest lap is in 1:35, so yeah, the gap would grow 11 points in the championship. So he would be 64 points ahead of his teammate at the end of the race if things stays as they are. So he closes down, he starts to clip. So Chonk has a very slow setup, and that is helping AJ Sinden stay in place. And AJ Sinden has a bit of a dodgy drive out there, and Chonk tries to keep it down the inside, but he'll have to back out of that one, and that means it'll be difficult for turn 1. AJ Sinden leaves space nonetheless, and coming into turn 1, AJ Sinden will take the defensive line, make Chonk have to do all the hard work around the outside, and they go too wide through here. Let's make sure it's clean. OS Degrees just behind, hoping any chance of taking back 5th position. And AJ Sinden will have the inside line for turn 5 and 6. And AJ Sinden doing everything in his power to keep this clean and keep Chunk behind him. Chunk looks left, Chunk looks right. Chunk will try and go around the outside of turn 6. And AJ Sinden is going to be under pressure here. Chunk's going to have the inside for turn 7. And Chunk looks to have maybe got this done. Can AJ Sinden keep that around the outside? He does. That becomes the inside for turn 8. And it looks to be just the smallest amount of contact. And it can't be too wide through turn 9, surely, but they are. And they're too wide through turn 10. And I don't think they can be too wide much longer, because I think they'll end up in contact. But AJ Sinden does get the job done into turn 11, defending all the way from turn 1 to 11 there. That was absolutely crazy stuff. But Chunk will have a chance to get AJ Sinden again, but 5 tenths down. AJ Sinden absolutely lacking ERS, but Chunk lacking even more ERS, but will have DRS to defend from OS Degrees. And I go on the attack with AJ Sinden, looking back at OS Degrees. He looks to be under pressure from Girion Tor. Girion Tor up the inside. No, he doesn't. Chunk does try and go around the outside. Tries a repeat of the move that he did last time around on AJ Sinden. And again, it just falls away, and AJ Sinden has a much better drive through turn 16. So it's going to be very unlikely that Chunk can close the gap into turn 1. This is frantic stuff. Great battling. Some of the best battling we've seen in the league this year. And, oh, breathless stuff. Chunk not managed to get the move down there. OS Degrees using this slow AJ Sinden to keep himself in the fight. Who knows, any kind of contact between the two in front, OS Degrees could just slip by and take back his 5th position. And I think that's what he'll be secretly hoping for, while no race driver openly would look for the demise of another driver. But AJ Sinden very sloppy on drive out of turn 6, but doing just enough to keep it Chunk behind. Oh, Chunk looking for every single gap. I think Chunk's just trying to stay right with AJ Sinden here. AJ Sinden looks like his tyres are going to fall off a cliff right at the end. The gap has grown 7.5 seconds to Fence. Fence taking 4th position here would be good. I think Fence is one of the ones who probably had the pace to keep up with Struggs at the front. But you're judging by his first lap time, 1:33. Very, very close to Struggs, but not managing to keep the consistency through the qualifying sessions and through the race sessions. AJ Sinden darts to the right to defend from Chunk. And Chunk closing and closing and closing. AJ Sinden will keep it up the inside. And Chunk will again try to go for the outside of turn 14. And will he have better drive out here? He will. And AJ Sinden may finally have to relinquish this position. And he tries to go around the outside here. He will have DRS at least, and Chunk won't have DRS, so he'll battle backs, and he'll go up the inside of turn 1. Chunk just doing well enough to get by. And oh, that is so frustrating, but he goes on the grass. He goes on the grass. And I think he'll have to maybe, oh, he's spinning. His tyres look to have finally died. Dirty tyres, and OS Degrees sizzles through. And Girion Tor, I think, will sneak through as well. It'll be very unfortunate not to sneak through, because AJ Sinden is going backwards. He did so well to keep the cars behind for that long, but he looks to be going backwards. I think going for a pair of softs may have been a better strategy, because he would have had good tyres for the last 15 laps and been able to come back. But of course, that relied on someone clogging up the bottle, as AJ did, and I don't think there was anyone else to clog up that bottle. So, AJ Sinden down into 7th position. OS Degrees only 6 tenths down on Chonk. And if Chonk can't pull away from OS Degrees here, OS Degrees will fancy his chances. And on these hard tyres, they'll start to come around to him. Compared to those mediums that Chonk is on, let's have a quick look at the detail, the tyre detail. So Chonk's 18 lap mediums will start to go off, and this OS Degrees hards will start to become better. So this pace will come to OS Degrees. So certainly 5th position is certainly still on. And he's closing and closing and closing. And there's a yellow at turn 16. Could there be some kind of incident? They can't overtake. There's a crashed off Aston Martin. Off in the, ditched in the... I think there's been contact between Rugriff and Louis Vest, truth be told. But he's crashed off. And we're not going to see a late safety car here, unfortunately. But OS Degrees going around the outside. Trying to go around the outside at least of Chonk. And those two are absolutely fighting. Will go on board with AJS Inden, or maybe OS Degrees will go on board with him. Does he get the move done? He does look like he's got the move done. He's got better traction out of turn 4. Through turn 5, he'll go on the inside line. Chunk will try to go around the outside of turn 6. And these two drivers, they've been in a scrap before. And Chunk will try to have the better drive. Does he have a better drive? He does. But OS Degrees will try to handle all around the outside. And it's so difficult to go too wide here without spinning out. OS Degrees just gives that place back and decides I'll stick right behind him and try and take him better into the turn 14 overtaking position. There's a yellow flag through sector 1 and 2. That's been cleared. OS Degrees a bit loose on traction out of turn 11. No, 10. And this is 11. So, through 12, he's right behind him. 4/10 is the gap. Chonk really does not have good pace in a straight line. And has a bit of EOS to defend, but OS Degrees has enough EOS to attack. Comes off with 3% charge left, closes down, and he may have this move done into turn 14. Chonk has to cede that position. AJS Inden, oh, he's behind, but he's made contact with Chonk. So Chonk won't be able to battle OS Degrees. He does leave position for him there, but yeah, I don't know what to make of that, but there is a little bit of contact between those two. But I don't think it's caused any damage to Chonk in the long run. Chonk is a little bit further back on OS Degrees and won't be able to fight here. But there's only 4 laps left. This has been an absolutely crazy battle. Looking up and down the order, Strug's 8-second lead to Alpha Integral. Fade 6.6 behind that. Fence 3.5 behind Fade. A few more laps. I think Fence could possibly catch up to Fade. Maybe get a job done here, especially as Fade's tyres start to get past their best. OS Degrees trying to extend that gap for 5th position. We've been on board with the battle for 5th since about lap 40. It's been absolutely nuts. And AJS Inden still clinging onto the coattails of this battle. Matusas is back. Look at Matusas. Return of the Matusas. He wants vengeance on Chonk, I think, because there was a bit of contact through turn 8 that caused Matusas to fall down the order. And Matusas potentially had the pace to go chase after Fade. But he'd love dearly to come back and take that 5th position, which he felt he was at least owed. He's now right behind AJS Inden after making a move at Geary on tour. At some point, OS Degrees defending from Chonk. I think Chonk's not going to have the ultimate speed to close down OS Degrees here. More likely to see an overtake from Matusas and AJS Inden. Matusas both with DRS these cars, so won't have the pure advantage here. AJS Inden still decides to go defensive. An absolute send by Matusas around the outside, and I don't think he gets anywhere with that. But Matusas tries everything to get by AJS Inden straight away, just outbraking himself, maybe by a metre or two. And going off track, Gibby on tour, falling behind these three. Geordie is under pressure from Captain Rainbow Fox. McLeod a little bit further behind that, 9 seconds behind those. Let's have a look at the penalties at this point. It's 3 seconds, and yeah, just 3 seconds for Geordie, Captain Rainbow Fox, Joker, and Ganja. And we see both Aston Martins have retired from the race, and AJS Inden seems to have lost a position there to Matusas. Those tyres surely are on death's door. He's right in the clutches of Geary now, and will do well to keep 9th position. You have to think when he's got to just cling on to the end here. He's got 3 laps to go. We won't see another safety car. Struggs has certainly done enough at this stage to take this race win, but Matusas is right behind Chonk now, only 1.1 seconds away. He'll be trying everything to stay in that EOS zone. Chonk battling with OS Degrees, and they've fallen backwards into Matusas, who was so wrongfully punted off early doors. I think Matusas will be very, very frustrated that he isn't in 5th position right now, but Matusas has a chance to come back at those cars ahead and take race position off the 2 ahead. As we watch Chonk closing on OS, but I think OS just has better straight line speed, so OS will need to slip up somewhere, I think, for Chonk to overtake him. Matusas falling behind a bit there because of the lack of DRS. It's actually Geary on tour and AJS Inden fighting behind. AJS Inden has fought so valiantly on those pair of tyres. There must be about 33 lap old mediums at this stage of the race. Very much slower than the cars around him. He's fought valiantly to cling on to every bit of position. Probably had pace for top 5, truth be told, but did not have the move done. and Matusas is closing down on Chonk. Giri on tour hasn't done enough here to get past AGS Inden. Captain Mayor Fox is closed up behind Geordie. Geordie just doing enough to keep Captain Mayor Fox out of that final points playing position. And Matusas crucially battling with the Ferrari of OS Degrees for points in the championship, second place in the championship. And Matusas has crept into that DRS range of Chonk, so could be coming at Chonk straight away, which could be a blessing for OS because OS doesn't have to defend from Chonk, or could be a curse if Matusas makes light work of Chonk and gets through onto OS Degrees and takes 5th position away from him. Crucial points in the championship. Fade gets a 3-second penalty, but Fence has fallen away from Fade, so that 3-second penalty isn't going to go punished by the looks of things. Struggs 8.5 seconds in front of Alpha Integral. Chonk 6 tenths behind OS Degrees, and I think Matusas has just fallen out of DRS range, and it will be absolutely painstaking. No, he does have DRS. He does have DRS. That's good for his race chances. He'll be looking to take 5th position. AGS Inden got an 8/10 gap on Giri on tour. He's doing so well on those old tyres. So well. As we go on board, it's not going to be the final lap. This is the penultimate lap here. So, Matusas is desperately trying to close down on Chonk and has actually fallen out of the grips of the 2 cars in front. So it'll have to be all or nothing for these final few laps to get 5th position. I feel like it's going to be a difficult one for Matusas to make those places up, but he's showing greater race pace than the 2 cars ahead. Giri on tour certainly doing everything in his power to try and get ahead of this very old tired AGS Inden. Let's have a look at the tyre life. So 22 laps to 34 laps of AGS Inden. I didn't think it was possible. Who knows, one could go bang and pop at the end. That would be just AGS Inden's luck this year, but still clinging on for 4 points in this race. And if we have a look for fastest lap, let's have a look. So Strug still has fastest lap, so at the moment the gap would be growing by 11 points. It was 53 points coming into this race. It will be a gap of 64 points, so that will be happy days for Strugs. More frustration for Fade. He has to turn it on. Singapore is one of his best tracks next time round for Strugs. So very frustrating, and Fade does have a chance right at the end. Fade's one of the strongest track is Abu Dhabi, so all is not lost. As long as he can get within 25 points before then, anything could happen. But Matusas is falling away from Chonk. Chonk right on the back of OS Degrees, trying everything. There's a yellow flag. It looks like potentially Den the pool has spun, and Captain Rainbow Fox is now less than a second behind Geordie. That will come to the final lap. Chonk will try and close down to turn 1, but look at this straight line speed. It's just woeful straight line speed, and just does not have the pace to attack. He needs, Matusas now needs Chonk and OS Degrees to trip over themselves to get back into that 5th position. OS Degrees looked like he was on for 2nd position for a long time in this race, but the safety car came out at an absolutely woeful time. Strugs quite far ahead. He is already on the back straight, so he's going to be finishing up soon. So let's get on board with Strugs as he goes around the final few corners. Really haven't seen much of him, to be honest, and I think this is another Grand Chelem, 2 in a row for Strugs, as he can navigate turn 14 and turn 15, 16, the left-hander. A Grand Chelem back-to-back for Strugs. The man with the purple helmet. Well done. Well done to Strugs. Alpha Integral 2nd place, Fade in 3rd, Fence in 4th, OS Degrees battling on and clinging on to 5th. He looked like he fell down the order at one stage, really struggling during the early part of this stint, but has come back. So it's 5th position. Fence is in 4th. OS Degrees in 5th. Chonk in 6th. There'll be a question mark over that though, because of that contact with Matusas. And Matusas runs a little bit wide at the end there, but 6th and 7th from Matusas. AGS Inden somehow brings that back in 8th position. That is a huge congratulations to him. And we have 9th for Giri on tour, coming in really late. That was good points, good Haas. Fence says that was an emotionally draining race. Certainly was. You did come back though. Almost could have got Fade, right? Only 4 seconds down at the end there. So so difficult. I think you could have got him if you didn't make a mistake there. And Captain Rainbow Fox does get Geordie for 10th position. That final point's important for the battle. Geordie just missing out on the final lap. I missed that, sorry. And dead of the pool in 12th. McLeod coming in for 13th. No points again this weekend. Ganja making it to the end of his first ever SRL-100, punted out so cruelly in the race last weekend, and he makes it through. Filling for Soul Collector once again. Great job getting to the end there, Ganja. Congratulations on finishing your first race. Joker in 15th, Alex Trent G in 16th. Let's see if Struggs is interested in the chat. So, our race winner is interested in the chat, so we'll get Discord running and get him into the call. So let's take a quick look at the standings. A quick look at the standings. So Struggs takes another Grand Chelem. Led every race over the line, although Fade did get ahead earlier on, so not quite as impressive as last time, but still very impressive. Let's have a look at the order, scrolling down, and good results for the Ferrari team there, picking up points on Alpine. Question marks over Chonk's 6th position, and we'll quickly just scroll down the incidents before getting in the race winner, Struggs. So we've gone through those incidents. Let's pull in Levi into here, move to commentary. Hello.
Hello there, Crab. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Congratulations on your race win.
Thank you.
Another Grand Chelem. 2 in a row.
Is it? I don't know. I didn't get the fastest lap though, right? So I don't know if
did you not get the fastest lap?
Is that?
Oh, did you not? I thought you did get the fastest lap. Oh,
No,
right, okay, so maybe not. No Grand Chelem. Not as good as last week.
I tried.
I thought you had the fastest lap for the longest time there, though, didn't you?
I did for a while,
did
yeah.
you just miss out? Okay.
I messed up my attempt on it at the start of the medium stint. I got a little snap, and after that, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to push it because it's not worth messing it up.
The extra point.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you take an extra 10 points to Fade. That grows your gap to 63 points in the championship. Do you start to feel like you got one hand on the trophy?
Not at all. There's still a lot more races to go, and look, a crash in turn 1 or instant, and that's a lot of points lost. So it's all about every race, right? I mean, I feel sorry for Fade. He had really good pace today. I knew he did. He had a tough time in qualifying. Then in the race, just things didn't quite go his way. So just felt a bit bad, really. Everything fell my way again, I feel like. So I got very fortunate, I think, overall, really. And that's...
Yeah, the second safety car was quite fortuitous timing, really, because you got to pit.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, it was tough, though, because it put Alfa Integral right behind me, and he was pretty racy, so I was like, oh, I better get a move on the safety car restart.
Yeah.
Can't be...
deploying a lot of ERS there to build the gap.
Yeah, well, that was the plan. Don't give him DRS, because then it's a fight. If he doesn't have DRS, then manage the gap, and that was the plan, and it worked out all right in the end. I mean, I think you said it beforehand, when the car gets a bit lighter though around here, it can be a bit more difficult. And I felt that particularly at the end on the mediums, the car was getting a bit sketchy, so I wasn't pushing at giving it everything for the last 10 laps, because the car was just, I don't know, I could feel it sliding in the corners.
Yeah,
that's scary when you've got everything to lose. So I was like, just calm down, no need to go too fast. Who was it? I can't remember which driver said it, wasn't it? It was like the goal of racing is to win as slowly as possible, and I think that was
Tony Brooks, is it? Something like that?
I can't remember, but
yeah,
I was following that
from
philosophy.
The 50s, yeah.
Towards the end, I was like, you know what, I was using the battery.
I think I read that quote the other day. Yeah.
I was using the battery, but I wasn't giving it everything in the corners because the car was sliding, and I was just like, I'm not willing to play that game. You know, as much as it would be fun to watch for everyone, if I crashed out spectacularly, I wouldn't have had a good night. So
You got a championship to win, haven't you? So no, congratulations. Who's your driver of the day?
Oh, do you know what? I probably would give it to Alpha Integral, man. He had a tough time in qualifying. I don't know what happened. I think he went out on a used set of softs in Q2, and I think everyone found a bit of pace in Q2. I was a bit worried about my time because that was in used tyres, and I was thinking people are edging up that way. But, you know, the comeback drive from, where did he start, like P11 to finish in second, and also to pull off the strategy right. You know, like stay on the hards. It didn't fault under the first safety car. He was like, no, I'm sticking with this strat. The hards of the tyre to go on. Stuck with it, fought his way through the field, and had, especially on the mediums, I felt like really solid pace. So, yeah, that'd be my drive of the day. You know, for a comeback like 10, he made up nearly 10 positions in 9 positions and had really good pace and made the right strategy call. So that'd be it for me.
I think that's a good call.
Yep.
Yeah, very good call. Well, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you. Sorry for the energy I had last
week. Hope I get to see you soon.
I'm really tired. So.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah.
The energy is good.
All right.
You've just done 100% and won it. So, yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So that just about wraps up our coverage of the SRL-100, the Chinese Grand Prix. Once again, congratulations to Struggs. A great win by him. Emotionally draining race, said Fence at the end of the race. He could have got third position, but this has been an SRL production. Thank you very much.